Our starting quarterbacks brought to you by Air Miles Reward Program. Some of the best rewards are close to home. Kerwin Bell, great numbers. And remember, he missed the first 4 games. Imagine the yardage he could have piled up. Troy Kopp, again, probably trying to make an impression, so he'll be around next year. And who will have the toughest offseason job in the CFL? Well, probably the guy who has to rewrite the record book. Never have so many prominent records been broken in one single season. Let's look back at a magical season of 1998.
Outside goes Pringle. He's got room and momentum, and he's still going. He's gone. First down, McManus looking deep. Deep got Amerson. Amerson and a foot race to the end zone. No contest. Blood gets out across the 40. After the 42-yard line, still going. Here goes Blood. Eric Blood off and running. To the end zone for Mitchell. Touchdown. Option on first down. Black takes on. Touchdown. Here's Pringle. Whoa, look out. That's all. Look out. Big hits down there. Second time he's lost his helmet. Good night. Gets a big one. What a big hit. And here he comes. Oh, great hit with 10 long. Henry Williams, 10,000 and counting. Unbelievable. He is getting a standing ovation from the crowd here at Commonwealth, and it's well-deserved. Over 10,000 yards, 26 touchdowns. One shy of having it all by himself. And there it is. No one in the history of the Canadian Football League has caught more passes than number 80 of the green and white, Donald Narcisse.
Here's a pass out to Daryl Mitchell, and there it is. Catch number 127, a CFL record. The most productive receiver in a single season.
Garcia to the end zone. Magnificent. Touchdown number 100 in the great career of Alan Pitts.
Here's Pringle, right side, 2,000 and more. Touchdown.
And that perhaps the greatest record in a season of records. Let's bring in Glenn Suter as we chat about this season. Glenn, which one sticks out in your head?
Well, you know, some great records set this year in the Canadian Football League. Don Narcisse, congratulations to him, and Daryl Mitchell, of course. But I think the one for me has to be Mike Pringle hitting 2,000 yards in a league where you throw the ball 70% of the time. To get 2,000 yards from your tailback is truly an amazing feat, and Mike Pringle deserves all the accolades that he gets because he is one heck of a running back. I had to tackle him at one time, and I still have the headaches.
Yeah, Glenn, you know, I agree with you. And what I like about Pringle was the way that he run, how physical he is. But we do have to mention Daryl Mitchell because of the number of catches, his ability to run effectively after he has the football. He really is the single biggest game breaker in the Canadian Football League. Very deserving of his records. I mean, 149 catches. He's about 20 above the previous at 126. Remarkable accomplishment, guys. There's no doubt about it.
And you know what? Even though he didn't break a record, I've got to mention Louis Passaglio. At age 44, he's leading the league in scoring. A lot of us thought he was washed up, and he keeps on ticking. What a great football player.
No, you know what, Eric? Now, I have to mention this, too, because Louis Passagle wanted to mention to you guys that kickers are athletes and have a very important job on the field. I think back to a couple of games ago, he wanted me to pass on that message now that you've mentioned Louis.
Well, congratulations to Louis, but also another consideration for Alan Pitts. I was very glad to see him get the touchdown record because I think at this point in his career, I thought that was unique, that he can keep that consistency, make those big plays.
Guys, let's move on to the team accomplishments as well. I guess the biggest story in Hamilton, they go from 2-16 to first place in a bye to the Eastern Conference Final. Unbelievable.
Yeah, just a great story in Hamilton. The success on the field and off the field. I mean, it's for Ron Lancaster to come in and accomplish that in 1 year, it's just terrific for the league. And football is alive and well in the East. In fact, if the Argos win tonight, it'll be the first time in many, many years that there have been 3 teams in the East with a winning record.
The difference a quarterback makes, hey, guys? I mean, you put in Danny McManus into that Hamilton offense, and all of a sudden they're a contender, and in fact, the favorites running down. That's what you think about this Winnipeg Blue Bomber team. If they one quarterback away, maybe a couple of Canadians here and there, and this team is back in the fight for next year. So it doesn't take a whole lot. Sometimes just some tweaking, and Hamilton has done a nice job.
And Glenn, you know what I liked in terms of an organization? Congratulations to the Montreal Alouettes, because the vast majority of their games were sold out. Now, I know it's a small stadium, 16 to 19,000 people, but imagine as time goes on, they can expand that carefully up to 22, 24, 25 and make it really in terms of a profitable money-making situation. But I'd like to know your comment or somebody's comment on Edmonton Eskimos, because I think that's one of the big disappointments the entire year. Eric.
Well, it's been a very tough year in Edmonton, no doubt about it. I happen to think this is an old football team, a tired football team. And you know, Case Stevenson, in my opinion, has been very unfairly maligned. They've had a lot of injuries, but they're not much better than a football team, in my opinion, as far much better than a 500 team in terms of just athletes. They're in a tough situation. They need to win this Sunday, because I think if they go to BC Place in the playoffs, they're in big-time trouble. BC has an awful lot of weapons, Glenn.
You know, I agree with you, Eric, in a lot of ways, except for the fact that I do think that some of the responsibility has to go to Case Stevenson, no question about it. He's been very conservative offensively. He has really not given the reins to David Archer until possibly last week for a little bit when the game was out of hand. David Archer is an experienced quarterback, has taken a lot of criticism, and he maybe need to have a little more control of that offense to have some more success. So I think he needs to get a little bit of the heat here, and you're right, though. They do need to make some personnel moves in the offseason.
And, guys, I tell you what I think. I think the team that has the most pressure on them right now is the Calgary Stampeders, because if they do not get to the Grey Cup and win it, this whole season is not a success. They have done the best job of staying consistent, winning the West early, but, guys, they've got to win the Grey Cup to look at 98 as a true successful season.
Now, the biggest story in the offseason was Doug Flutie's departure. A lot of people thought that would be a very big negative for the league. I think it's been the exact opposite. We have more parity than ever. We could have the most wide-open playoffs we've had in years.
Well, parity is the story of the league this year, and I think Doug going south actually has been a great story for the Canadian Football League, because people seen what great athletes there are in this league. You know, Doug has ended up being our biggest ambassador, playing on the other side of the border.
And, guys, I've been knocking my head against the wall for 3 years in every restaurant, to every CFL fan, talking about the differences between the NFL and the CFL, and I think Doug Flutie is really exposing both leagues for what they are. Leagues made up of great athletes that are different in a lot of ways because of our rules and our different size of field and different, only playing with 3 downs instead of 4. Yes, they're different, but the athletes are very close, especially in the skilled position. And I think Doug Flutie is proving that and bringing a ton of credibility to the league from a fan's perspective.
And, Glenn, I agree. And what also is nice about Doug Flutie not being in our league, we found out who Kerwin Bell is and how effective he can be. And also Jay Barker, we found out the fact that Toronto has 2 good quarterbacks. If Flutie was here, we wouldn't know about those guys.
All right. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Great season. Thank you, Glenn. We will talk to you, of course, later on in the game. And up next, we will talk more about Doug Flutie. In fact, we will talk to Doug Flutie, America's new sweetheart, when we return on Adidas Friday Night Football.
If you're wondering how to get more for your money, Get to know the CIBC family of credit cards and choose the rewards you value most. Free travel, day-to-day savings, and now, with our new Dividend Platinum card, earn up to 2% on any purchase. Money you can invest in your RSP or CIBC account of your choice. The CIBC family of credit cards, helping you get more for your money by seeing beyond.
Listen, kid, we're short one player for the game. Can you help us out?
I'm only 8 years old.
I'll whip you into shape.
Just takes practice.
202. Try again. Just hit the net, kid. Not bad.
Now champions in Canada have a cereal they can call their own. New Maple Frosted Wheaties with a great taste of maple.
That kid's the next Shanahan. We'll be younger.
Hey, Shanahan.
Listen, kid, I don't think you're ready.
Welcome back. And yes, America is finally learning what Canada knew for years. Doug Flutie is a special football player, but he is also a special father. His son Dougie has autism, so no matter what heights he reaches on the field, his feet are always firmly on the ground.
Up Close is brought to you by Adidas, the official sponsor of the CFL.
And Flutie's going to do just that, and he'll score. Touchdown, Doug Flutie.
The reason I came back was I won 3 championships up in Canada. I had accomplished a lot of things, and I wanted to take the next step. I wanted to take a shot at going to a Super Bowl.
Flutie, keeping, left side, touchdown!
It just puts football in perspective. Everybody gets so carried away on Sunday. It's life or death. You know, you see the people dressing up, tailgating for 48 hours before a game, and it's the most important thing in the world. And it's not. It's football. And 10 years from now, no one is really going to care who won the game last Sunday. 10 years from now, I'm going to have a 16-year-old son who probably still can't dress himself in the morning and needs to be taken care of. So, you know, it definitely puts things in perspective. It's allowed me to just go out and play football and relax and enjoy playing the game for what it is and worry about life.
Up Close is brought to you by Adidas, the official sponsor of the CFL.
And yes, Doug Flutie will try to keep it going this weekend against the Miami Dolphins. Now, let's look ahead to the other CFL games this weekend. There are 3 more, of course. Calgary in BC, Montreal at Hamilton. CBC's got that one, and Saskatchewan at Edmonton. Now, of course, the only playoff situation left to be resolved is that if BC wins and Edmonton loses, BC will get 2nd place in the West and home field advantage for that Western semifinal. And Eric, what would that mean to the Lions?
Well, I think in terms of promotion and marketing, it would just be huge. But in football terms, it may be even bigger. The BC Lions have so many weapons, and if they get that game in BC place, I just don't think the Edmonton Eskimos can beat them. If you're Edmonton, you want to win tomorrow, win on Sunday, and play the BC Lions on a frozen field in Commonwealth.
Okay, so if that's the case, then the Edmonton-Saskatchewan game is pretty important for Edmonton. They'll have to win if they can't beat BC and BC.
Well, I think Edmonton has to get something done. There's no doubt about it. I mean, David Archer needs to have a 25 out of 30 day. Don Blair has to get the monkey off his back by making some big plays. What's important for Edmonton is that they go out there, they regain their confidence, and the defense has to get a little angry because for the most part, they've been criticized for being old, and football players hate being called old. It's a young man's game. I think they'll come out and play extremely well. They need to come out and play well, Eric.
Yeah, they sure do.
Montreal and Hamilton. Now, Chris, this one's called a meaningless game, but you say no games are meaningless.
No, I really don't think so, because I think this one's going to be set up in the one-on-one battles. I mean, imagine if you're on the offensive or defensive line on each team. You have the opportunity to set the tone because you are anticipating that you will meet again 2 weeks down the road in Montreal. Not necessarily, I know Toronto has something to say for it, but I think there is an issue here that the players want to put their stamp on the individual they're competing against. Just make that impression that they're in for a long day come 2 or 3 weeks down the road. I don't know if you agree, but that's the way I perceive it.
Well, I think this is an important game, and but there's no question when these teams play in a couple of weeks, they're both going to be ready to play if that ends up being that matchup. I think the bottom line, if you're Ron Lancaster, Dave Ritchie, you want one thing. You want to get out of this game with a healthy football team.
And I suppose the Argos looking to do that as well. The last thing they would need as they face Winnipeg tonight would be an injury to, let's see, Kerwin Bell, but he will be starting tonight for the Argos. The Bombers and the Argos on Adidas Friday Night Football. We'll be back with more in just a couple of minutes.
Thank you, baseball fans. Together we celebrated a new record and gave honor to the old one.
For realizing that 3,000 can be a magic number for pitchers, too.
Thank you for being with me 2,632 times.
For cheering what I've done and believing in what I will do.
For giving me the courage to stand up to a monster. Thank you, fans.
Thank you, fans, for being part of the greatest season ever.
Thank you. Muchas gracias.
You've probably heard it all before. So what are you going to do? What are you going to be? Where are you going to fit? Work is changing. You've got a lot of good choices out there. There's a lot opening up, but it won't just happen. You've got a plan. Make the right moves.
Canada's Youth Employment Strategy. For career planning info, call 1-800-935-5555. Take on your future.
Goals for, goals against. Take out efficiency. Yards rushed. Sometimes, all we see are the numbers. Put it all into perspective with Sports Desk Extra. We want to bring an inside look of sports to our viewers, relate the stories that go far beyond stats, and examine issues like the morals, ethics, and business of sport. Join me, John Wells, and some of Canada's leading journalists as we probe the major issues and stories of the week. Get focused every Saturday morning with Sports Desk Extra.
Welcome back. Our road to the Vanier Cup brought to you by Chevy Cavalier. Tried, tested, and true. And Western is still on top. In fact, number 1, 2, and 3 remain the same. Mount Allison makes the biggest jump of the week, 9th to 6th. Now our match to catch this weekend, Bishops and Queens. The winner has a chance to make the playoffs. The loser, get back to class. Get back to the books, everybody. You're done for the year. All right, time now to get caught up on the inside stuff going on behind the scenes in the CFL. And to do it, as always, the Globe and Mail's Marty York.
At Large with Marty York.
Don't be surprised if acting CFL Commissioner John Tory grants CFL owners and club executives their wishes soon and agrees to become the league's full-time commissioner. Tory tells me that he more than likely will stay on, but only on one condition, that he not be paid for his work. He actually likes the idea of being a volunteer. That way, he told me, he doesn't have to compromise his independence. I don't want to be an employee, he said. I want to be able to give people in the CFL the plain truth without any fear of reprisal. The CFL has made significant strides under Tory's commissionership the past 3 seasons, especially in the area of finances. It is not difficult to understand why club owners such as Hamilton's David McDonald and BC's David Braley are practically begging Tory to stay on permanently. In reality, Tory has been the glue that has held the CFL together. The fact that he costs the owners $0 for his work is a bonus. And speaking of bonuses, here's how much CFLers will receive this season for making the playoffs. Players and coaches will each collect $1,900 if their teams finish 1st, 2nd, or 3rd in their division. They'll get an additional $2,500 for advancing to the Eastern and Western finals. And if they make it to the Grey Cup, they're assured of an additional $6,000. That's if they lose the game. Now, the Grey Cup winners each will pick up a $12,000 bonus. That means each player and coach with this year's Grey Cup winning team will collect $16,400. Now, that may not sound like much in this era of economic lunacy in professional sports, but trust me, folks, by CFL standards, and remember that the average salary in this league is about $45,000, while $16,400 is considered megabucks. Okay, this being our final telecast of the season, it's a good time to give you my postseason predictions, like it or not. Now remember, you heard me say right here on these airwaves last season, the Saskatchewan Roughriders were going to defy the odds and qualify for the Grey Cup game, and that is exactly what happened. It's a different story for Saskatchewan this year, of course. Jim Daly failed miserably as the Roughriders head coach, and he'll be relieved of his duties any day now. The only team that has a chance this season to match Saskatchewan's Cinderella story of last season is BC, where Greg Mons has exceeded all expectations and has coached the Lions to 5 consecutive victories. Still, I can't see the Lions getting past Wally Buono's Calgary Stampeders. I'm sticking with my preseason prediction. Calgary will meet the Montreal Alouettes in this year's Grey Cup game. It'll pit the league's top 2 players, Montreal running back Mike Pringle and Calgary running back Kelvin Anderson, and the Owls will win. And then Dave Ritchie will quit as Montreal's head coach and join Eric Tillman, as the 2 men will work together next year to try and revive the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. For Adidas Friday Night Football, I'm Marty York. It's been a lot of fun this year. Hope you enjoy the playoffs.
All right, thank you very much, Marty. And speaking of predictions, you know, back on July 1st, it was Canada Day. People were waving flags and celebrating, and 2 young analysts did their first CFL pregame show, and they made some pretty bold predictions themselves. Let's see, I remember it well. You know, seems like only yesterday that... All right, and right now the Ticats, the long shot in the East. We saw the odds from Vegas earlier in our pregame show, kind of like our odds makers here. Eric, who do you like?
James, I'm glad we had a first half to hedge our picks, but I do like the, I think in the East you have to go with Montreal and Toronto at the top. I think it's going to be a very, very competitive race based on who stays healthy. At this point, I think you have to give the edge to Montreal because of their experience at quarterback. The other two teams, Hamilton and Winnipeg, both improved. I look for them to get 6, 7, 8 wins, but they just don't have the firepower of the top two in the East. Out West, Calgary, clearly the favorite. Solid on both sides of the ball, very well coached, 2 outstanding quarterbacks, the clear favorite. Between the next two, Edmonton and BC, I give the advantage to Edmonton because of defense. Saskatchewan, just too many off-season losses, Chris.
Well, I agree with most of them. I think the number one thing for me is the fact that Montreal probably won't win the East. But when you get to the next three, I'm looking at Hamilton to surprise some people. I think Hamilton right now and Toronto are extremely close in terms of talent and their ability to win football games. Winnipeg looks good this first half, but it's still very, very early. Out West, I'll agree with you there, Eric. Calgary, both sides of the football, very solid and special teams. Disagree in the sense that I think BC, this just might be their year. I like speed. If you have a chance to have the great wide receiver, slot back, and quarterback that can all run, you're going to win football games. Edmonton, we're not sure about. Perhaps in 3 or 4 weeks, we'll be much clearer as to their abilities. And Saskatchewan, I think they're going to struggle throughout the year.
All right. Yes, you could have changed your suit, you know, between now and then, Schultz. Are your predictions the same, though?
They are the predictions. I still think it'll be Montreal and Calgary, and I think Calgary will win it all because they have the best balance of any team. Eric?
Well, with the Argos coming in third, I just think it's too big a mountain to climb. I'm going to go with Hamilton and a surprise team, the BC Lions.
All right, let's bring in Glenn Suter once again. Glenn, we didn't get a chance to see your preseason predictions, but what are your predictions now?
Well, I think it's going to be the Calgary Stampeders out of the West Division. They'll be BC in the final, and I think in the East it'll be Hamilton. Not because of Danny McManus or Darren Flutie, but because of Ron Williams running the football. I think it'll be Hamilton and Calgary in the Cup.
All right, thank you very much. That's not really fair. We got to see yours. We didn't know what he said earlier on in the year. We'll be back with more. The Bombers and the Argos are coming up.
It was born of royalty, crowned in glory, and has held court over some of the fiercest battles of all time. It has witnessed moments of greatness, noble men of courage undaunted in their quest for victory. It is a living testament to the spirit of our game.
Your favorite CFL team now has their logo on your favorite credit card. It's the CFL MasterCard credit card. Support your team and take advantage of the benefits that over 346 million MasterCard cardholders worldwide are enjoying. Each stylized card has your team's logo on it. So support your team 12 months a year and pull out your card. Call 1-877-4CFL now for your CFL MasterCard credit card. When you pay with us, you play with us.
Winnipeg, perhaps they're just all out to celebrate the end of a miserable season. Bombers, Argos on Adidas, Friday Night Football. Hey, everybody, and welcome to our last installment of Friday Night Football for the season. Duffy, Tillman, and Schultz. A nothing game for the Argos. Maybe not, Eric?
No, I think it's an important game for them. After 17 weeks, they're dead last in the Canadian Football League in rushing. Only 59 yards a game. Look for them tonight to come out and play a lot more two-back. Much more than they've done all year, and we're going to find out tonight, Chris, whether Tony Smith can fill Robert Drummond's shoes.
You're right, and I think in Winnipeg we're going to find out whether these guys want to stay in Winnipeg next year. When individuals play with urgency, teams play good. Watch for Winnipeg to play extremely hard tonight. They got nothing to lose.
They may be trying to impress that guy over there, Mr. Tillman. Argos and Bombers are coming right up. The introductions are underway. Football is coming up next. Have a great evening, everybody. See you at the end of the quarter.
It was born of royalty, crowned in glory, and has held court over some of the fiercest battles of all time. It has witnessed moments of greatness, noble men of courage undaunted in their quest for victory. It is a living testament to the spirit of our game.
This is one of a kind. This is a very sensitive environment. I'm an environmental biologist and I work for Mobil. When oil is found in a place like Newfoundland, you have to be careful because the sea, the wildlife, but also this culture is very unique, rich in traditions. It takes a lot of communication between Mobil, our partners, and the community. When the Hibernia platform was towed up, it's a great day here. I'm really proud about the homework that Mobil has done. We work very hard to make sure that we are welcome guests in this country.
Drive into a Travelodge location for free in-room coffee, free lobby newspaper, and a great room at a great rate. Call 1-800-578-7878 now for Travelodge.
We've got a history, a way of making memories, a place you wanna be. Oh, tonight, it's never been more right. You see the world in a different light. All right, I'll see you tonight.
98 was a great year for Hyundai. We set an incredible sales record with the Best Buy Accent. But 1999 is another challenge, so we're launching the Accent with a special lease or low financing offer. Now you can get into the sporty Accent with 0 down, 0 security for only $199 a month. Or get low 4.8% financing with up to 60 months to pay. 2 great ways to get into next year's Accent next week. The 99 Accent. Driving is believing.
Sexy, sleek, sophisticated, stylish. The world's smallest and lightest SLR camera. Make the scene with the Pronia S from Nikon. How decadent.
The F1 season finale, Halloween night on TSN.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you by Adidas, the official sponsor of the CFL. And by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks and good friends, see you tonight.
All right, there's a bit of a chill in the air here in Winnipeg, but all in all, a beautiful Friday night for Adidas Friday Night Football in the last week of the regular season. And 6 degrees Celsius and a breeze 13 kilometers per hour, but it, as mentioned before, ooh, very scary. Yes, we got Halloween coming up tomorrow, but for tonight, Don Matthews is hoping it's not a scary end of the regular season. The whole month has been kind of scary with 3 losses out of 4. The winningest coach in Canadian Football League history, and he has not actually had a 500 season or less since 1992 with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. So for him, he could fall to 500 for the first time if he loses to Winnipeg tonight.
Well, Gary Hoffman on the other sideline has had a real scary season. He's been, of course, involved with the Winnipeg organization all year long, took over for Jeff Reinbold, and he will likely put his name in the hat as the team looks for a new head coach next season.
Took over heading into week 15 and 0-3 so far with the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. for longtime CFL assistant Gary Hoffman. Winnipeg deferred its choice on the toss, so the Toronto Argonauts will be receiving. As you look at Troy Westwood getting set to get this game underway, and the last game of the regular season and the last game period for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. And the Argos, as we have established before, trying to get some momentum going. They will be at Molson Stadium in Montreal next week for the playoffs against the Alouettes. And by the way, that was the site of their last victory 3 weeks ago. Looked impressive then, but not so impressive since.
You know what, Rod? For the teams, this is no big deal. This game is not important, obviously, but for the players, for the athletes, it's huge. For Winnipeg, they got to get a good taste in their mouth when they head into the offseason. The Argos need some momentum heading into the playoffs.
Westwood gets this game underway and taken down at the 20-yard line. It is Tony Smith. And Smith with the return up across the 45, so it'll be good field position for Toronto and Kerwin Bell to get started. A look at that starting offense for the Toronto Argonauts, brought to you by Midas. Kerwin Bell, Tony Smith in for Mike Pinball Clements. He got injured in that game against the Alouettes 3 weeks ago. And up front, the newcomer is Hulu Humile, sitting in for Willie Williams, who's injured. He should be back for the playoff game in Montreal next week. So a change at left tackle for the Argos as they scrimmage, and they're 42 at 1st and 10. Flag in the play right away, and they're running the football right away. But right off the snap of the ball, there was a flag. Tony Smith, the carrier, and Kerwin Bell indicating that it's going to go against Winnipeg.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 51. First down, repeated.
Defensively for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, led up front by Joe Fleming, who is the team's nominee for the most outstanding player in the Canadian Football League. Glenn Scribner will play the nose, and Grant Carter has also had another great season in a losing effort for the most part this year. Brandon Hamilton and Nick Ferguson are on the corners. Reggie Carthon returns for the lineup at halfback.
And this is a sight you don't see. 1st and 5, the Argos with back-to-back running plays, although this one has stepped up pretty good. As we heard Eric Tillman talking about earlier, the Argos dead last in the Canadian Football League in rushing the ball, and many feel that has been their big problem down the stretch. Defenses have had no reason to play them on it.
That's right. And you know what? Heading into the playoffs, the Argos know that they're going to have to play outside in both playoff games if they want to advance. And then outside back here in Winnipeg in the Grey Cup, and you're going to have a running game when the elements become a factor.
Call it 2nd and 4 now. The Argonauts from their 48. Bell will throw this time. Right side has a man. It's Daryl Mitchell. So Mitchell, another reception, and picking up yardage down to the Winnipeg 50. Of course, we'll be keeping an eye on him as he goes to become the all-time single-season receiver, first heading towards 2,000 yards.
Well, the reason that Daryl Mitchell gets open as much as he does, or one of the reasons, is that they move him around in the formation. Daryl Mitchell line up at tailback one play, wide receiver the next, and then in at the slot back at 1, 2, or 3 position in there. So it's tough to really get a beat on. It's tough to double team him defensively. It's tough to get one person to stay with him. They mix it up, and then, of course, he has the great ability.
So a gain of 10, so Mitchell just 68 shy of 2,000. They run the ball again, and it doesn't go anywhere again. Tony Smith on the carry to the right. In fact, a loss of about a yard or 2 for the Argos.
Talking to a lot of the Winnipeg players, you know, and they say a lot of people think that their cars are probably packed to go home now because their season obviously over before this game would even start. But talk to guys like Joe Fleming and people down there that have worked real hard all season. They'll say, you know what, it's very important for us to win this game. Last year we didn't have a good year, but in the last game of the season beat Saskatchewan, and it made for a lot easier off-season of training. That's how important it is to them.
The loss of about 3 yards of the plays. They set up the screen to Tony Smith. Has some room. Nice move to avoid a tackle and get close. The first down yardage about the Winnipeg 41.
Well, this is what Don Matthews wants to see from Tony Smith, is yards after the catch. Little screen pass to Tony Smith. Grant Carter's going to run right by him, and that's how Smith can catch the ball. But watch the move in the open field on Reggie Carthon right there. Little cutback, picks up another 6, 7 yards after that one. That's what makes the great ones better than just the average ones. So move in the open field.
Tony Smith in his first CFL year, 4 years in the National Football League, predominantly as a return specialist. And as you saw in the opening kickoff, you'll see him in that role a lot now, too, with Pinball Clements out of the lineup as well. The fake by Bell, rolls to his right under pressure and looks downfield, but he has nobody. Out of bounds it goes. It'll be second down.
There was no one open on that play. Great job by the Winnipeg secondary. Maurice Kelly had dropped back into coverage, number 24, one of their best players this season. And another one of those guys that, despite loss after loss, has never given up on this team or on himself. And he was back there in coverage, double teaming on Daryl Mitchell, and he was not open.
In their last game, Winnipeg's against Kerwin Bell and the Argos, Kelly intercepted an Argo pass and ran it in for a touchdown. One of 2 picks he's had on the year. Out of the shotgun, there was some early movement. Flags on the play. Bell steps up and throws to Tony Smith. And Smith gets close to another first down, about a yard shy, but as mentioned, a flag down.
Seems like there's a little bit of frost on the field already here in Winnipeg, and footing might become an issue as this game goes on.
Well, it is a chilly night, although not so bad a night. And I'm sure they would take it at 3 weeks' time, 3 weeks and 2 days, because it was pretty nice as the sun began to set.
For this time of year in Winnipeg, oh, this has been an unbelievable day weather-wise, no question about it. But the temperature has really dropped here.
Offside, Winnipeg, number 52, decline, third down.
The temperature has really dropped, and there seems to be a little bit of a frost on the field, so it could become a factor.
Wesley Lacey called on the offside. So the third down. In short yardage, at least that's what is marked right now, the yards marker.
That's an interesting stat right there. 13 times on downs, and you don't have a running game, it kind of changes your mind. And you know what? Don Matthews just changed his mind, and he's setting on the field goal team. It looked like initially he was going to gamble on third and a long yard, but now Eric Bigos is in the game, and he'll kick the field goal and try and take the points.
It would be a 39-yard attempt, easily within his range, his longest of the year, 51. Bigos came in week 6 after they could not get the production out of Noel Prefontaine trying to do both jobs.
Now, if this is Montreal, hypothetically, and you have Mike Pringle in the backfield, do you gamble on 3rd and 1?
I think with Mike Pringle, you give it a shot. He's proven in the past. And that was easily deep enough, but it was wide, and Eric Blunt taking it out. Barely getting it out, now gets a block and has some room. Eric Blunt still going. And finally, it's Eric Bigos who takes him down after a long return for the CFL's leader in combined yardage. No score in Winnipeg.
Play Safeway's $1 million touchdown to win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you could win $1 million if 2 kickoffs are returned for touchdowns in today's game. Now there's a million more reasons to shop at Safeway, today's better way.
Welcome, Dave. Been a long time.
Sure has, Red.
You got a spicy chicken sandwich. But here, try this.
Not bad.
Water?
No, thanks. Ooh. Now try a Wendy's spicy chicken.
Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich is a whole breast fillet seasoned with Dave's own blend of pepper and spices. It's one very delicious, very spicy sandwich.
Please.
Oh. Try Wendy's spicy chicken sandwich and long live the king.
Neat. This is cool. Hey, Dad, do you want to try?
When it's time to do something about those little drafts and make your home more comfortable, you'll find everything to help you at your neighborhood home hardware. Save energy with this Duracraft programmable thermostat with easy 3-step programming.
Home hardware, help us close to home. Check it out, Dad. This is better.
A cough or sore throat? Aren't you glad you have friends? Like Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges. They even make nasal passages feel clearer. So try Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges with over 100 years of effectiveness.
Back in mid-September, Troy Kopp took over the starting job for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers at quarterback, replacing T.J. Rubley. Had one outstanding game, but since then, the numbers have been so-so, Glenn.
Yeah, it's one thing to come in relief in a game and tear it up when no one really knows what you can do, but it's another when you can get game plan against, and Troy Kopp is back to reality.
No score after a 47-yard return by Eric Blunt, the guy with the football. Fumbles it. Argos on the chase, finally. They do have it. So a turnover to start off the first Winnipeg drive. And that has been the story of the year for Winnipeg's offense. Very sporadic, inconsistent, and that turnover there, of course, cost them the ball on their first play. Argos have it again.
That's usually in their first drive. You think back to turnovers that have cost them. Here's a look at the play. Nothing fancy about it, just simple handoff. And Eric Blunt never got the handle on the football. It looked like it hit him high in the chest, right on the shoulder pads, and bounced straight out there. Squirted through the line of scrimmage, was in the backfield. I don't think he ever got it. He'll go over there and talk to his coaching staff and the quarterback. Make sure that ball comes a little bit lower into the stomach area so he can get the handle on it.
So Bell and the Argos will try it again after a missed field goal in their first drive. Great way to start off their second one in Bomber territory. Lots of time for Bells. He sets up and dumps it off to Tony Smith again. Number 32 has been busy for the blue and white as he has another Argo first down, and it is Grant Carter on the tackle.
Well, they're making a living out of just dumping the ball to Tony Smith so far. Part of that is because there's pretty good coverage downfield by Winnipeg. That is a tough position to be in if you're David Maeva in the open field. Tony Smith with lots of room, both sides, to make a move on him, and David Maeva somehow got him down, or Tony Smith is still running.
And Tony Smith with 3 receptions for 32 yards so far early in this game. Out of the shotgun. Take the handoff to Smith, and Daryl Mitchell has his second catch of the game. First down yardage and more down to the 22 of Winnipeg.
One way to get the ball to your go-to guy is in the hit screen, because if you know that the defense is going to back off you and play a little zone, they can't jump this. And the Argos have done this all season. Just another way to get the football in 87's hands. Little hit screen. See, Brandon Hamilton drops way off. He's about 15 yards deep before he breaks up there and tries to get involved in the tackle. That gives Daryl Mitchell lots of time to catch the ball, turn his shoulder pads down the field, and start to look to where he's going to make a move.
So it's a gain of 14 yards and 54 to go for 2,000 for Daryl Mitchell. If you look at Tony Smith again, short yardage, gets it down close to the 20-yard line, Winnipeg.
You know, talking to these Winnipeg personnel on defense, they're saying, you know, we feel like we may be 1 or 2 players away from really being a good defense. I mean, when you consider that this defense has been on the field for an average of about 80 plays a game, that makes for a long season. And a lot of those guys play special teams, cover kicks, cover punts, and have to play 80 plays a game on defense.
Call it a gain of 1 from the 21. 2nd and 9. Bell under pressure, gets it away. Incomplete. And Tyrone Rogers nearly had him.
Little bit of a safety blitz from Brad Elberg, who playing at the free safety position pretty much all season. And Brad Elberg's going to come up there clean through the A-gap. The A-gap is the middle of the field between the center and the guard. And Brad Elberg was not picked up in the blocking schemes, but missed the tackle.
So Eric Bigos will make his second attempt. He missed one from 39 yards just moments ago that Eric Blunt ran out. Another Toronto try to get it on the board. Bigos' numbers, 23 of 34 now, under 67%. And this one will come from about 27 yards away. And once again, he is wide to the right. So 2 great chances to get on the board for the Argos. Come up with nothing but a point. Argos take the lead. They could have much more on Adidas Friday Night Football.
My car is a lot easier to maintain than these ostriches.
Maintenance is important if it's your hair or your car.
You definitely cannot trust an ostrich.
Cars are like old hockey players. They need lots of maintenance. They break down a lot.
I go to Al's place 3 times a year. Hi, I'm Al. He comes to my place whenever he needs a meatball.
Get your car or truck ready for winter with the Midas maintenance package. Hurry to Midas now and get all this for just $34.95.
$34.95. That's about 7 plates of spaghetti with meatballs.
Tired of having it their way? Have it your way at Burger King. Hold the pickle, hold the lettuce. Special orders don't upset us. All we ask is that you let us serve it your way. it just tastes better.
This message is coming to you from Television Land. In Television Land, I can dream of Genie. Wake up to breakfast television. Go to the transporter room. Buy a vowel. Get a ticket to ride. And take a giant leap for mankind. What year is it in Television Land? It's right now. It hasn't happened yet, and I don't want to miss a second of it.
And coming soon from Rogers Digital Choice TV.
Over 100 channels, digital quality sound and picture.
On TV, I've seen things. You're not going to miss all this, are you?
The Argos with a single. They have the 1-0 lead down to the Bomber sideline now, and Greg Musselman.
Okay, thanks, Rod. We're here at Winnipeg Stadium. Of course, this will be the final game for the Bombers this season. It's been a long year, but this will not be the final game in the stadium this year. In fact, in just over 3 weeks, this place is going to be packed with football fans as the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, of course, are out of it, but there's some good things happening. 43,000 seats are currently in the stadium right now, up from the 33,600. And so Grey Cup is getting close, and it's going to be a big party, I can guarantee you, 3 weeks tonight. Back up to you guys.
Thank you, Greg, and I bet it will be. First time the Cup comes to Winnipeg since 1991. Troy Kopp just tried a long pass to Mitch Running. It looked like he had it, but in coming down, lost control of the football, incomplete.
Yeah, it would be interesting. You got the temporary stands are up here in Winnipeg, and Grey Cup just 3 weeks away. Of course, Bombers will not be in it.
And judging by the time of possession, it looks like they're not in this game, but 2 missed field goals, and they are just down by a point. Kopp again on 2nd down and 10, and has Milt Stiegel right around first down yardage up at the 45 Winnipeg. And the sticks do move. It will be a first down, Winnipeg. Troy Kopp's offense. Of course, he has Milt Stiegel to work with, the big target, and Eric Blunt, who's a threat catching the football and running with it afterwards. The wideouts, Matt DeBuck and Spencer McLennan. And up front, that offensive line, they've been together most of the season, although Sandy Annunziata, one of the newcomers at right guard, he had been a backup through much of the year. It is 1st and 10, Winnipeg from their 45. Eric Blunt with the football. Eric Blunt going nowhere, might have a half-yard gain as the Argos swarm him.
Defensively for the Toronto Argonauts, led up front by Demetrius Maxey, the team's defensive player nominee this year. Kelly Wiltshire was nominated as the outstanding Canadian for the Argos. He's having a tremendous season. And the 2 Smiths anchor the corner, Adrian on one, Donald on the other.
That Argo team chock full of Smiths. As we look at Mike O'Shea, 3 on the defense, and of course Tony Smith. We've seen a lot of him tonight so far. 2nd down and long for Troy Kopp. They've got him. Loses the football. Jermaine Haley tries to recover it. I believe he has it. And once again, the Argos will take over on a turnover. Troy Kopp did not have much of a chance there.
Kelly Wiltshire was coming on the blitz, and he is clean off the edge. He is not blocked. Chris Perez is occupied from the tackle position, and he is not blocked. There is Wiltshire. He's going to come from the outside. Chris Perez, number 62, is occupied in the middle on the man. No one picks up Wiltshire off the edge, and Troy Kopp has no chance to get that football out of there. Sometimes you just send more than they can block, and that time Wiltshire got in there untouched.
And so the Argos have great field position to work with again. Only a point to show for it as they'll scrimmage from the Winnipeg 41. Bell 5 for 7 so far in this game. Make that 5 for 8 as that one intended for Dwayne Demetrician falls incomplete.
Well, so far a game of blitzes for both defenses. That time it was Brad Elberg coming on the blitz. Grant Carter was also in the backfield, but that's back-to-back plays that Elberg has come from the safety position to provide some extra pressure on the quarterback.
Elberg, former offensive player when he started off, time in Saskatchewan and the Hamilton Tiger Cats, but made the conversion here in Winnipeg to defense, and it's been working out so far for him, although his last game against the Argos, after taking a penalty and another one on top of that, ended up being benched for John Kalin at safety. Bell throws again, and once again It falls incomplete, and so Toronto is facing another 3rd down and long situation. This is still within the range of Eric Bigos.
Yeah, but talk about the importance of this game for Don Matthews and the Toronto Argonauts. This is an offense that so far in this first quarter has struggled. I mean, a couple of field goal attempts by Eric Bigos. He's going to try another one, or they're going to actually punt the ball from where they are now, probably because of the field conditions. But this team wants to get on a roll and needs to get some confidence back offensively, and so far tonight they certainly haven't done that.
Eric Blunt, leading return man in the CFL this year by far in punts and kickoffs, and to take this one, and it is short by Noel Prefontaine, but Blunt does take it inside his 10. Nowhere to go out around the 11-yard line, Winnipeg. So the Bombers have had, oh, we got rough stuff going on now. Some bad blood showing right after that, and the flags, of course, coming out. A melee brewing down at the sideline at about the 25-yard line. The last time these two teams met, there was a fight late in the game at Skydome. And I don't think there's any great feelings between these two right now as you look at Gary Hoffman trying to get in between these players and separate them.
Yeah, Gary Hoffman's trying to get his guys back to the bench because he doesn't want to get anyone thrown out. It's usually the 2nd and 3rd player in one of those fights that gets the ejection. Don Matthews obviously too far away to get involved.
He
but
seems
it's all the way
quite
over.
content to stand and let them sort it out.
But I believe Maurice Kelly was involved initially, and it looked like Michael O'Shea flew across and hit him. They'll have to try and sort out exactly who was involved, who was first, and who came in after the fact. Get that extra penalty.
So referee Ken Lazarick trying to get that worked out.
And you mentioned the fight the last time these two teams played. Maurice Kelly, ironically, was involved in that one in a different way because he was the guy who intercepted the pass, was on his way to the end zone, and in fact scored on the play while the fight was going on behind the scenes. No one really even knew that Maurice Kelly had scored a touchdown.
There was a hush in the crowd, and you could tell their attention was diverted somewhere else to Steve Salter and Tyrone Rogers, who were involved in that one back in September the 19th at Skydome.
Well, Don Matthews he would hate to see that going on the sideline for a couple reasons. Obviously, the penalty situation, you're never sure how that's going to shake out. But the other one is he's heading into the playoffs. He does not want someone to be injured in a fight on the sideline.
Unnecessary roughness, Toronto number 50. Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Winnipeg number 24. First down, Winnipeg.
And as you might expect, it all balances out one aside, so they'll start at the 11.5-yard line, just where Eric Blunt went out of bounds.
Well, here's Maurice Kelly with Noel Prefontaine, the kicker. He gives him a little extra down on the sideline, throws him to the side. Now he gives him that extra little push, and that's where Michael O'Shea takes exception. Says, wait a minute. Especially our kicker. Don't hit him when he's down.
Feisty by Prefontaine, though, not afraid to get into it. Eric Blunt on the carry, short yardage, right side, gain of maybe 1 yard for the Bombers. Eric Blunt is Winnipeg's nominee for Outstanding Player of the Year, and not much argument. The combined yardage leader, return leader, I should say, and the great numbers against the Toronto Argonauts. He's had 3 returns for touchdowns this year, 2 of them on kickoffs, 1 on punts. And Eric Blunt, basically a running back with the Edmonton Eskimos in the last couple of years. His role really changed, I think, this year coming to Winnipeg.
Well, he was cast aside when Troy Mills arrived in Edmonton and had his career rejuvenated here in Winnipeg.
And that one just heads right into the turf from Kopp on 2nd down and long, so the Bombers will be punting it away.
Troy Kopp changed his mind with his arm in motion. And that's why that ball hit the turf. He thought one of his receivers was going to give him something else, and he changed his mind, or he throws an interception. He's going to go over there and talk to Milt Stegall and the rest of that receiving corps, because there was some miscommunication, and Troy Kopp, the presence of mind, and change his mind and just throw that one right into the turf.
44-year-old Bob Cameron in his 19th year, all in Winnipeg, averaging just over 45 yards a punt to get this one away just at his end zone. And a nice high spiral taken down by Lester Smith. scoots up the middle with a flag on the play. Could be no yards as he gets it down to the 45, and we'll get that worked out as Kerwin Bell comes back on the field. The Argos with a 1-point lead.
Store's closed. Not for me, pal. You might say I'm Spyro's hot co-star. I love that little dragon. The way he blows fire at sheep like me. This is an official protest. I am an anti-Spyro activist. Genghis, come.
You're toast.
Help me.
PlayStation.
In 1991, I was very fortunate to take part in a Grey Cup celebration that perhaps has been the greatest ever in the history of Grey Cups. Winnipeg set a standard in 1991, and I expect that standard to be raised in this classic, the 1998 Grey Cup Classic. Well, I can assure you, come November, come the Grey Cup Classic at Winnipeg Stadium, there's not going to be an empty seat. This is going to be one of the all-time greats in Grey Cup history.
You would not be completely human if you did not mostly prefer to be elsewhere. The 205 horsepower Isuzu Rodeo. The 205 horsepower Isuzu Rodeo. Poof, you're a woodsman.
Rod Smith, Glenn Suter back at Winnipeg Stadium, where the Argos have a 1-0 lead. They've had their chances to have a lot more, but 1st and 10 for Kerwin Bell, and finds Daryl Mitchell again. Mitchell, good yardage, and across midfield, and his 3rd catch of the day as he inches closer to 2,000 on the season.
A lot of Argo fans are probably wondering if Kerwin Bell has decided to try and get Daryl Mitchell the record in this game, considering that it really doesn't mean anything in the standings. I would say probably not. That Daryl Mitchell has been a big part of the game plan all year, and that won't change here tonight. He won't try and force the football to him.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto 56. After the play, 2nd down.
Chad Folk getting called. A little bit of fight going on after the fact, but I don't think Mitchell is going to get the ball any more than he would normally. I think that Kerwin Bell will just make his reads like he normally would in any game.
So this came after the play, so Mitchell's yardage does count. 47 to go until 2084, until the all-time single-season record. 2nd and 18. Penalized them after that play, and a long pass from Bell complete. Across midfield, they get a lot of it back. Ball is loose on the carpet. Williams with the catch and lost the football afterwards.
It's a very important catch for Nigel Williams because in the last couple of games, he's had the dropsies. Dropped a couple, and he went up and caught that with his hands, caught it strong. It ended up coming out late, but the ball was already down on the field, so it'll count. Nigel Williams says that he is fine confidence-wise after a couple of bad games, that he's having a great season. That's publicly, though. When you drop a couple of passes in a game, you'd like to catch a few just to get your confidence back, and I'm sure that a couple more catches like that for Nigel Williams, and he'll be back on track.
Well, they needed 18, and they got about 16, so they're punting on 3rd down. Prefontaine tries to angle it for the corner. It goes into the end zone, and Eric Blunt just watches it roll, and then past the dead ball line it goes. Long punt. Sorry, Glenn.
Prefontaine took off after that kick. He, of course, can recover it, and he's hoping that Eric Blunt will wait around down by the end zone, kind of try and draw someone into the 5-yard zone. He was on the dead fly after he kicked that football.
So another point on the board for the Argos, but they're not coming fast and furious, just inching along now. 2-0 the score. Don Matthews can't be overly impressed with the way his offense has worked right now. Defense has been great, but just the opposite story. They have lived pretty much in Winnipeg's territory most of this quarter.
Yeah, the whole first quarter in Winnipeg's territory, and they have dominated the time of possession, and it doesn't show on the scoreboard.
From the 35, Troy Cock under pressure, running away from it, and throws it away. Out of bounds it goes. It'll be 2nd down.
Well, see, this is difficult by design for Troy Kopp because the majority of his receivers were on the opposite side of the field that he scrambled to. So once he started scrambling, he had no one to throw to downfield. That's why he had to throw it away. And this is where talk about offensive schemes that are best suited for their quarterback's abilities. And as Troy Kopp gets more comfortable with the offense that he will eventually run next year, and really who knows what that will be at this point, but he will start to learn that when he starts to scramble, he needs his receivers and to scramble to that side.
You saw Gary Hoffman talking to Jay Walker, the backup quarterback, who will see some action tonight. Pass intended for Mitch running, and that one, after a lot of pressure by Troy Kopp, falls incomplete.
Well, then again, it really doesn't matter where your receivers are if you don't have any time to throw the football. And on that last play, Troy Kopp saw like a team meeting of Argos in the backfield. I mean, tremendous pressure. Argos sending, well, everybody. And there they are. Demetrius Maxey back there. I mean, it was a team meeting at Troy Kopp.
Lester Smith in there as well, and Bob Cameron will be punting for the second time, his first one, going 38 yards, standing back at his 21. And a low laser driving punt. Lester Smith with it. About his 35, has some room on the right side. Lester Smith, a good return up to the Argo 53. And once again, scrimmaging close to midfield. They've had great field position so far in this first quarter. 40-yard punt, an 18-yard return for Lester Smith.
And Kerwin Bell still trying to figure out what he needs to do to get this team offensively back on track. Pretty good completion percentage, but he has had to dump the ball off to Tony Smith a lot tonight. That means he's getting coverage downfield. Somehow he's not getting his guys open down the field and is having to dump the football off. Great for your percentage, but not too good for yardage, and of course they haven't found the end zone yet.
And Kerwin Bell going back to Don Matthews to talk it over, while Bomber training staff attends to an injured player down on the field. Bell without, and it's Wade Miller for 54 down for Winnipeg. But Kerwin Bell has to do without one of his great offensive weapons again tonight, and Mike Pinball Clements 3 weeks ago suffered a calf injury in a great touchdown run against the Alouettes, but not able to play and missing time for the first time in 4 years. They want to make sure they have him for that playoff game back in Montreal.
Yeah, make no mistake. If this was a playoff game, Mike Clements would be dressed and playing right now. But that is a very wise move by the Toronto coaching staff and Don Matthews to say, hey, let Mike Clements rest one on the sideline, especially going into cold Winnipeg Stadium. If you have a muscle injury like a calf or a hamstring, and it gets cold, you can re-injure it. You can hurt it again. And I mean, that's a smart move to keep him back at home.
Wade Miller back up on his feet and walking back off to the sideline. First down, 10 to go. The Argos leading at 2-0. A couple of singles, and that's it. And a big pop there on the reception. Brandon Hamilton getting his stick in on the completed pass, but it's still short of the first down.
Well, that's a good catch by Dwayne Demetrish because he took a big hit. It was well timed by Brandon Hamilton right in the back of the head. Usually that's where you get your concussions, whether or not you hit the back of your head on the turf after a hit or get hit with a helmet in the back of the head. That's usually where you're going to get your concussions. But to Dwayne Demetrish's credit, he jumped back up and is back in the huddle, and he's going the right way, so didn't affect him.
Out of the shotgun on 2nd and 3 now. Bell under pressure, they've got him. Glenn Scribner wraps him up and takes him down. And Wesley Leasy is there as well.
You know, Ron, I hate to overemphasize the running game and the lack of it by the Toronto Argonauts, but when you're in a 2nd and 3 situation and your guys can't respect the run, here's Glenn Scribner coming across right here. If you can't respect the run, Joe Fleming's going to get upfield and get in the face of Kerwin Bell. Scribner's there. Wesley Leasy is also there. I mean, if you don't respect the run as a defensive line on 2nd and 3, you can pin your ears back. You got problems offensively on the other side of the ball.
Yeah, with apologies to Glenn Scribner, about to give him credit for the sack. 76 Joe Fleming, his 14th in the year. Alone in third place. The punt is blocked. blocked. Big play for the Bombers again, and they have turned things around here. They're going to take over in Argo territory at the 43.
When you're on the punt team and you're the end man, you think if a guy lines up too far to the outside that he will not be able to get there. He just won't have the time to get here. Nick Ferguson comes off the edge. Now the end man on the line of scrimmage, Donald Smith, doesn't think that he can get there just by alignment. But a great angle by Nick Ferguson, and all of a sudden he is right there in perfect time and blocks the punt.
So first the sack by Joe Fleming, then the block punt by Ferguson, and the Bombers down by only 2 and just about within field goal range. On the hitch, Spencer McLennan, nowhere to go. Glenn Young is there wrapping him up. And they do get inside the 40-yard line at quarter time. It could have been a whole lot worse for these Winnipeg Blue Bombers, down by just 2 at the quarter as we head back to Friday Night Football control.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter.
Yes, welcome back. And the big news here is that Tillman's already cut 2 guys. Very disappointed with that performance. I didn't know he officially accepted the job yet. Not a lot of scoring in this one, but yes, we did have a first. The first semi-brawl I'd ever seen started by a punter, at least sort of. Noel Prefontaine, mostly on the receiving end from Mo Kelly. And you like the way the Argos came to the defense.
You know what I like? I like the way they responded to this, because this is Mo Kelly kind of roughing up your kicker. And here comes Mike O'Shea, and good for you, Mike O'Shea. That's exactly what the Argos need. They need that kind of attitude, that kind of passion. It should have been there throughout the season. I don't disagree.
Kickers.
I do hate kickers, but I hate kickers because they're indefensible people. You have to defend them. But good for you, Mike O'Shea. The other comment I have, Tony Smith has made some nice little runs. Troy Kopp is really struggling again at quarterback. He's not doing too good in the audition, is he?
No, he isn't. You know, Chris, you know, you have to capitalize on opportunities when you have them. And the Toronto Argonauts have recovered 2 fumbles in plus territory. They only have 2 points to show for it. So, and here you are, Winnipeg. You've gotten basically no offense at all in the first quarter. You get a turnover, and you got a chance to take the lead. It's all about making plays when you have an opportunity, James.
I got to ask you one more quick question. How long do you leave Kerwin Bell in there?
You know, I think it's really important for Toronto to come back and play well in this game. They just got to get their confidence back, so I wouldn't be surprised to see them play the whole football game. They need to win. They need some momentum. They've just gotten their butts kicked the last 2 weeks.
All right, 2-0 is the score. Sundin and McCauley with the goals as we head back to Winnipeg for second quarter action. Here once again, our Rod and Glenn. Snots. We have some technical problems with Winnipeg, so you guys get to talk more. They're cheering over there. Second quarter action, what do the Bombers have to do to get going, Schultz?
Well, I think more than anything, they just have to continue to make some plays, and they need some quarterback confidence. I mean, you can see really at this point, they're still disorganized. Troy Kopp is struggling. The way he's throwing the football is a little bit low, a little bit too high. Defensively, you see certain aggressive acts, the Mo Kelly situation. On the other side, I like what I saw in the running back, Tony Smith. He made some nice things I haven't seen before, James.
All right, Mr. Tillman, and on the Winnipeg end, which we know you were watching very closely?
Well, I think Winnipeg's had a fairly good first quarter. In fact, there have been holes all in the dam, but they've managed to keep the water from breaking through. I like their front 7 defensively, but offensively, they've got to generate something. If they leave that defense out there like that all night, James, they're going to run out of gas. You can't let the defense stay out on the field for 70, 80 snaps. If you do, you're going to get beat.
Just so you know, we are on first quarter extend-a-mix here. We're having some technical problems from Winnipeg. We will get you back to the ball game as soon as possible, but for a while you have to hear more from my gentleman here. Now, do the Argos, the way they're playing now, realistically, do you think they have a chance to beat either Montreal or Hamilton, Chris?
You know what? I really think they do, because when you look at a couple of those games, and I know we've really stressed the fact of Nigel Williams dropping those passes, but if he had those passes, that's about 14 points in that Montreal game, and that's a little bit of a difference in the Hamilton game. I think Hamilton went into that game last Saturday night. They kicked Toronto's butt. They physically dominated. They ran the ball. The Montreal game, although Pringle had his yards, I saw some big plays that they didn't complete that would have influenced the game. Maybe would have been able to pull out the win. In my opinion, Toronto can go from third to first very quickly. I don't know if you agree, Eric.
Well, I think that we're looking at 3 very good football teams.
Eric, I'll interrupt you. We're back to the football game. We'll hear lots more from you. Winnipeg just missed a field goal. Toronto running that one out of the end zone. Let's get you back to Rod and Glenn. You'll hear more from us at the end of the half.
Okay, thank you, James. You guys could put us out of business. Could sit and listen to you guys all the time here. That was just a missed field goal by Troy Westwood. and it was run out 27 yards, and so the Bombers, this must be something with kicking into that end. We've had nothing but misses so far in this game.
Well, I think it has something to do with the field conditions, and if the field is getting slippery and frozen, the kicker's plant foot is tough. You don't want to put too much weight on your plant foot, or you could slip before you kick the football. So you have to compensate for the turf, and both kickers have pulled it both times right.
2 misses to the right for Arik Bigos in the first quarter. Argo's first possession of this second, and they dump it off, and it's Daryl Mitchell with the football, but he is going nowhere. In fact, he has lost some yardage on that play.
It's tougher for kickers when it gets a little cool out there, and I think Troy Westwood got his foot down and planted. Here's a look at it. There's the hold. The plant is there, but now did Troy Westwood let up a little bit? Did he come through it like he normally would if the field was dry? And if he didn't, that's one of the reasons he could have pulled that one to the right.
So a loss in the play of 3. Credited against the account of Daryl Mitchell. There's Kerwin Bell deep and wide open. Dwayne Dimitrition. Big gain Argos across midfield, but there's a flag back near the Argo backfield.
Well, Grant Carter hit Kerwin Bell as he was throwing the football. That could be the flag. Or was Kerwin Bell over the line of scrimmage? And the way they're moving, I would say it's...
First down, Toronto.
It's the Carter hit. Kerwin Bell has tons of time, and he does the right thing. He steps up in the pocket. It's collapsing to the outside, so he steps up in it firmly and then finds Dimitrition wide open. He gets the hit late from Grant Carter. And this is what Carter will get the penalty for right there. He could have let up, but he put the face mask right in the ear hole of Kerwin Bell.
And we heard the guys talking about this before. How long do you leave Kerwin Bell in, subjecting him to this kind of thing when you need him so badly next week?
I heard him talking about it. I think you got to leave him in at least until the third quarter, or he gets some confidence back in this offense. If he can put 3 or 4 drives together that come away with points, then I say you pull him out of there. But right now, this is a team that is struggling offensively. Your starting quarterback has to control that. I think you leave him in.
On first down, Tony Smith carried it for about 5 yards. Inside the 35, down to the 34-yard line, Winnipeg. Hey, the Argos have been this far down before and come up with either nothing or just a point. Low-scoring football game so far. The pass complete to Daryl Mitchell. That's positive yardage, unlike the last one. And a first down close to the 21-yard line.
Reggie Carthon gave Daryl Mitchell a ton of room, and when you got a guy with Daryl Mitchell's speed, you really have to do that. But that'll open up the underneath patterns in a big way, because Reggie Carthon can't fight through the rubs. By the time he gets back up there, Daryl Mitchell's got his shoulder pads turned down the field.
Gain of 12 on the play, and Daryl Mitchell is down to 38 yards until he becomes the third ever to hit 2,000 receiving in a single season. What a great year he's had. Now to the shotgun, they don't get it away in time. The flags come down. Looks like a time count coming up against the Argos.
Well, this is what I'm talking about, continuity in your offense. And, you know, at this point in the season, you don't want to be getting delay a game penalty. Now, Kerwin Bell seemed to have an argument there. I think he...
Offside, Winnipeg, number 51. Procedure, Toronto, number 62. Still first down.
Well, it looked like he didn't get it away in time, but yeah, they happened to throw the flag just as that stuff was going on there. So offside, so they cancel each other out.
Yeah, I've always said that it seems to me that you should be either you're drawn offside by a procedure.
How can you have both?
Or you're offside. Now, the officials have told me that it could be at the opposite side of the field, but I still think you can only have one or the other.
Go to the shotgun, looking close to the end zone, and Brandon Hamilton. A brilliant job of knocking that one down.
Brandon Hamilton does a nice job because he drops off his man. This is a veteran play. His man is up front. His man is Dwayne Dimitrition, number 28. He fell off it because he read Kerwin Bell's eyes. That's playing as a veteran and doing a little bit more than what you're asked to do. His job on the play was cover number 28. but he did a little bit more and knocked that ball down.
Intended for Paul Mazzotti, but instead it's 2nd and 10 from the Bomber 22. Bell slips, gets his footing back, steps up, and throws it to nobody down at the 5-yard line. Nobody near it. Once again, we got a field goal situation for Toronto.
Well, again, I got to make the point of continuity, because that time Kerwin Bell wanted Andre Kerwin to turn around and go deep. He wanted him to shake open. When you're scrambling, you're looking for a receiver to shake his man and find a spot. Kerwin Bell wanted Andre Kerwin to get off his man and get a little bit of depth, and that's why he threw the ball there. And he was livid with the receiver afterwards.
So Eric Bigos is on and Kerwin Bell is off. And Bigos 0 for 2, missing from 39, missing from 27. Scoring a single on that one. This one coming from 30 yards away. But facing the different end, and not a good kick, and wide this time to the left. He's missed twice to the right and once to the left, and it couldn't have been set up any more perfectly for Eric Bigos. He's having a rough time. The Argos have another point on Friday Night Football.
Play Safeway's $1 Million Touchdown to Win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you have won Dirt Devil MVP Swivel Glide Vacuum with patented rear swivel casters and the Ultra Hand Vac with onboard tools. Dirt Devil, powerful vacuums that are incredibly easy to use. Or a Zenith 27-inch digital-ready stereo television with 530 lines of resolution, universal night vision glow-in-the-dark remote, and SEQ front surround sound. Zenith Entertainment, just like they like it. Enter your ballot at your local Safeway Food and Drug today.
Check this guy out. Doesn't know what he's doing. Told you.
How'd you know?
The boots. Wasn't wearing Terra Wildsiders.
Terra Wildsiders, worn by professionals.
When back pain begins to cramp your style, ordinary pain relievers often aren't enough. Doctors and pharmacists recommend Robaxacet. It combines 2 active ingredients, one to relieve your back pain, the other to relax your tense back muscles. Now available in extra strength. Robaxacet, helping you walk away from back pain.
Still early in the second quarter in Winnipeg. The Bombers have made a quarterback change. Jay Walker in the game to replace Troy Kopp, and this is what he did last week, Len.
Good percentage, good completion percentage, well over 66%. 2 touchdowns, did not throw an interception, and say he's got all the talent, all the abilities to be a good one in the future.
And Walker goes to work with a pass right away for Mitch running. What a nice catch in coverage across the 50-yard line in Argo territory.
Yeah, and you don't want to turn around and hand the ball off on your first touch of the football. Jay Walker says, you know what I want to do? I want to throw one deep to Mitch running down the sideline. I'll put it right on the money, and he'll come up with the catch. That'll give you a little bit of confidence in a hurry offensively. They say that Mitch running is the real deal. The Bomber organization is looking forward to having Mitch running and Mike Trevathan, who will be back here next year in the same lineup.
This is only the 9th game of the year for Mitch running, and already the leading receiver by far. Well, they say Argonaut football on another turnover. So much for the momentum established. There was a flag on the play, however, and the Bombers are now clapping. Looks like it'll go against the Argos. So they'll hang on to the football.
Well, they dodged the bullet because Jay Walker did not hand that ball off properly to Eric Blunt. We've seen that twice now. Troy Kopp did it in the first series. He put the ball too high on Eric Blunt and hit him in the shoulder pads, and that time it looked like Jay Walker put it real low into the knee area of Eric Blunt, and that ball came out of there, but they dodged the bullet.
Now, Jay Walker, let's be honest now. Do you think anybody's teased him about his name before? Or said it just in all one word? Jay Walker. Just keep it between the white lines, buddy. And here we go. He's throwing again and completing again. Short of a first down, but Eric Blunt with the football. down to the 40.
Nice delivery of the football and a good read. Take what you can. See the opening. Get it out there to your running back. Maybe he breaks the tackle. If not, you're sitting in a 2nd and 1 situation. And you know what? If I'm the Winnipeg Blue Bombers with a game that doesn't mean anything in the standings, this is the one I fake it and I go over top.
Right. Looking to do something to electrify this crowd the way Troy Kopp did back in mid-September against Saskatchewan when he came on late in the game when that offense was struggling. But no, they just keep it along the ground, Eric Blunt, and it is enough for the first down. Winnipeg, the sticks will move. The drive will continue with a new quarterback at the helm of that Winnipeg offense. And a lot of quarterbacks have been auditioned in 1998 for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers.
TJ Ruby, of course, who is now with Hamilton.
Kevin Mason,
who actually was the quarterback who played against the Toronto Argonauts the last 2 times they played.
And Troy Kopp, who's now on the sidelines. Jay Walker on first down inside the 40. Argos. That one's complete. Spencer McLennan with the catch, and he is hit as soon as he touches the football. It's not a first down, but a good gain of about 7 yards, but the 30-yard line.
Well, you know, a lot of people watching this game may think, well, why is it that Troy Kopp is running the same offense and isn't successful, and Jay Walker comes in and throws a couple of completions right off the bat? Well, right now, Jay Walker is throwing with confidence and on time. Troy Kopp was waiting, looking for receivers to get open. Jay Walker is throwing before they're open, hoping they will get open, and that's the difference so far.
Backfield clears. Walker to throw. Complete again. Sean Millington with the catch. Excuse me. Milt Stegall with the catch, number 85, and that is another first down for Winnipeg.
Well, Milt Stegall, we talked about at the very beginning of the game, is finally looking like the Milt Stegall of old. Another big first down for Winnipeg in this drive. Those are his numbers this year. 332 yards, 200 of those 332 in the last 2 games, and 3 of the 4 touchdowns in the last 2 games. So unfortunately, it's too late for Winnipeg, but he's back, and he'll be a big addition next year.
Walker, by the way, 4 for 4 for 42 yards and throwing again. Another completion. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Milt Stegall.
How good is Milt Stegall? He got the one-on-one on Adrian Smith. And this is how good Milt Stegall is in one-on-one. Look at that move. That's when you call beating a guy and knocking his bat off. Adrian Smith was trying to get a jam on Milt Stegall as he was running down the seam, and you know what? He got nothing but air.
So 5 touchdown catches for Stegall, 4 of them in the last 3 games. He had 2 last week against the Alouettes. And the point after is put through by Troy Westwood, so we finally have a touchdown in this game midway through the 2nd quarter. Winnipeg leading the Argos.
Good Friday evening, everyone. I'm Gino Retta back here in our newsroom, just getting ready for Sports Desk. Hey, some NHL news to pass away. Scott Niedermayer is back in the fold. He signed a new 2-year, $6.5 million contract with the New Jersey Devils. Toronto Maple Leafs in action tonight. They are in Buffalo. First period action, the Sabres pressing. The puck bounces to Michael Grosek, who scores. Beating Curtis Joseph, and it's 1-0 Sabres. Still in the first, Richard Smellick from the slot. Tipped by Matthew Barnaby, beats Cujo, and it's 2-0 for the Sabres. Late in the first period, the shot from Jay McKee. 3 Leafs watch it go to Derek Plant. He scores. 3-0 Sabres, and that's where they stand right now. They're in the 2nd period of play. Some other NHL scores to pass your way. The Stars lead the Ducks by a score of 1-0. The Panthers lead the Hawks by a score of 1-0. And the Rangers lead the Canes by a score of 1-0. All 3 of those games are in the first period of play. We'll keep you updated on what else is going on. Time for a quick break, and then we'll send you back to Winnipeg for more Friday Night Football.
You have some warriors who are performing down at field level. And you've got individuals who are showing a little bit of grace while taking part in all sorts of festivities up in the stands. You can expect to see that in the Grey Cup Classic, the best of the athletes performing at field level, and the best of the partiers sitting up in the stands. 7 years since the last Grey Cup, you got to be there. You don't know what you're going to miss. Are you in yet?
The scoring drive brought to you by Chrysler Canada. Winnipeg punches it in. 7 plays and 5 straight completions for Jay Walker. And finally, Milt Stegall with the touchdown. Glenn.
When Milt Stegall is hitting down the seam, you have got to get your hands on him if you're the defender. This time, it's Marcelo Simmons. I initially thought it was Adrian Smith. It's Marcelo Simmons. He's got to get his hands on Stegall. He doesn't. Stegall comes up with a catch and the touchdown.
Westwood to kick it off, and Winnipeg leading for the first time in this game. And on the return, it gets up to about the 30-yard line for Adrian Smith. Back down to the sidelines now, and Greg Musselman. Greg?
Okay, thanks, Rod. I'm with the general manager of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, Ken Bishop. Great crowd here tonight. About 34,000. We're going to have 43,000 in a few weeks for the Grey Cup. How are preparations going?
Great. As you can see, all the additional seats are in, and we are up to around 29,000 now, so we look to sell another 6,000 in the next couple of weeks, and then the last week usually you get 5 or 6 from the teams that are in the Grey Cup, i.e. Calgary and Toronto.
1991, you hosted this game. It was a great success, and you're looking for bigger and better things, no doubt.
Yeah, the parties start Wednesday and continue right through. It's going to be a great time.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Back up to you guys.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Kerwin Bell under pressure now on first down, and they've got him. Grant Carter wraps him up and takes him down. Lost yardage, perhaps more lost confidence for that Argo offense. It is not going well at all.
Well, I think it's fair to say, Rod, that Grant Carter will be one of the guys that is invited to training camp next year. Grant Carter, right at the top of your screen, is working one-on-one on the outside, and it's the second and third effort, and then a pretty good burst of quickness to the outside to run down Kerwin Bell. Now, Kerwin Bell, not the fleetest of foot, but that was a lot of work and a long time for Grant Carter to keep battling to get that one.
Loss of 3, second and 13. Bell to throw again. Across the field, complete. And out of bounds, Andre Kerwan with his catch to get a little more yardage off that. It's still going to be a third down and a punting situation for the Argonauts.
Yeah, I think it's essential that Kerwin Bell stays in this football game and tries to get something going offensively. He needs to finish strong heading into the playoffs. Don Matthews does not want to have an offensive team that is struggling, especially when you're going to face Montreal, who you know will control the football with Mike Pringle. And then if you can win that one, you're going in to play against Danny McManus and the Hamilton Tiger Cats with the emergence of a running game in Ron Williams there. So there's some problems still to work out here with the Argo offense.
Now, the Argos are the 2-time defending champs, but it will be a very difficult road. Road being the key word. They got to win it all on the road if they want a three-peat. No easy task, especially the way this team has looked here tonight in Winnipeg. Prefontaine averaging 52 a kick and a driving spiral. A nice punt. Eric Blunt takes it at his 33 and still moving around. He gets up over the 40 to the 42-yard line. Bombers have the football. Bombers have the lead. 5:13 to go until halftime on Adidas Friday Night Football.
I'm Neil Lumsden, GM of the Hamilton Tiger Cats.
And I'm head coach Ron Lancaster. The CFL has teamed up with the Canadian Liver Foundation to launch the Touchdown for Tomorrow Hepatitis B Corporate Challenge. We are challenging Canadian companies to have their employees inoculated against this serious but preventable disease.
In Hamilton alone, the city of Hamilton, the region of Hamilton and Wentworth, and Fluke Transport have committed to inoculating their employees. What are you waiting for?
Be offensive, be radical, get immunized against hepatitis B.
Steve Podgorski, Esquire.
José Lavigueur, Esquire.
Meet the Esquire collection.
Moura Caracas, Esquire.
David Tang, Esquire.
A line of fashionable Swiss watches designed for Canadians who do what they love and love what they do.
Teresa Hoffmeyer, Esquire.
Rudy Hoffman, Esquire.
Kinky Carpenter, Esquire.
The Esquire Rally Chronograph, water resistant to 100 meters. Esquire watch. It has your name on it.
Rick Hannaford, Esquire.
Make sure you're there for the players' introductions. You will see individuals that are regularly calm, being excited like no other time in their professional career. They deserve to play in front of a packed house. The adrenaline is flowing within their systems. They're ready to play football. I'm sure the adrenaline is flowing in the systems of the fans of the CFL. I guarantee you, this is the big kahuna. I'm in. Are you in yet?
3 weeks, 2 days away. Grey Cup 98 right here. You're looking at it, and the vantage point from the new seating put in the end zone. The 86th Grey Cup, November 22nd. And if you want tickets, 1-888-473-9287.
This is a big crowd here tonight. Over 30,000 here in Winnipeg Stadium. And the Bomber management did an interesting little experiment tonight. They wanted to have a lot of discounts and some promotion. The reason they did it is to get the big crowd to practice crowd control for the Grey Cup game.
Jay Walker under pressure, and there is an incomplete pass intended for Spencer McLennan. Second down.
What's going to happen here in the Grey Cup in 3 weeks? There'll be 44,000 plus jammed in this stadium. So what they wanted to do is get over 30 or as many as they possibly could, so the security people, the ticket takers, the concession people can all get used to the bigger crowds. It has been a good story here in Winnipeg as far as the crowd goes anyway, considering their season. But they're going to have over 30 here tonight, which is good for 2 reasons.
Absolutely. Just great atmosphere here in Winnipeg. Especially nice to see, as you point out, when you've got a team that's only won twice this year, but they're cheering them on. Now they have the lead, and close to a first down on the run is Jay Walker getting up near midfield.
The one thing that Jay Walker will learn as he gets better and more experienced in the Canadian Football League is that when you start to scramble, what you don't want to do is lead with your head as a quarterback. I mean, you see Jeff Garcia do it all the time, and quarterbacks love to do it, especially the running quarterbacks like a Reggie Slack in Saskatchewan, and Jay Walker is big. I mean, he's got good size and running ability, but he'll learn to do that old hook slide.
And the sticks come out, and it is indeed a first down for Winnipeg. So Jay Walker has shown a lot more poise running this offense than Troy Kopp did in a quarter plus to start this game.
Spent 3 years in the National Football League with the New England Patriots. Signed as a free agent in September here in Winnipeg. Of course, you talked about the revolving door at the quarterback position. They like his ability, but you know what? We say that about a lot of quarterbacks as they come in. And they need an experienced guy here in Winnipeg for Jay Walker and Troy Kopp to learn from and develop.
So first down. Just shy of midfield. On the draw, Eric Blunt, right side. Not a bad gain. Up across the 50. They're into Argo territory again. And it'll be second and short. Now, we heard James Duthie, and he hasn't failed to take his digs at Eric Tillman about the uncertainty of the Bomber situation here. But let's forget about Eric for a second, and we know there's going to be a change in the front office.
Yeah.
Now, let's say if it's you, I mean, I would think making that change at quarterback or getting that settled is absolutely the first thing you got to take care of.
Yeah, that's your number one. I mean, that's the number one on the agenda. And I say you're talking to Dave Dickinson as soon as you are allowed to.
Jay Walker, though, with another completion. A flag on the play, however.
Sorry, right, because as good as Jay Walker could be, or as good as Troy Kopp could be, the good ones and the ones that end up being all-stars in this league have learned from other quarterbacks. Jeff Garcia learned from Doug Flutie. Danny McManus learned from a lot of veteran quarterbacks before he got his chance. Jay Walker could be a great one. But with Dave Dickinson ahead of him, if that could possibly happen here in Winnipeg, then he has a much better chance to developing into a great quarterback in this league.
And Walker trying to get used to the plays. Looks like he's studying for his final. Each time looking over to the sideline and checking out the wristband. That was a roughing the passer call. Takes it all the way down to the Argo 30. First down, Winnipeg. And he gets it away complete to Eric Blunt. Gain of about 5 yards. And Walker has been on fire so far in this second quarter. But I tend to agree with you. You get an experienced guy in, a guy that has proven so far in this league. And maybe that was the downfall of the Bombers from the beginning with T.J. Rubley coming in. Experienced pro quarterback, but not in the CFL. They were asking a lot.
No question about it. And T.J. Rubley is another one. I mean, he could be a great quarterback in this league. He's now behind Danny McManus. I mean, he will learn a ton just in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. That's the key. You got to learn from one of the pros.
3 minutes exactly to go until halftime here at Winnipeg Stadium. Winnipeg's getting close again, and they do have the 7-3 lead.
Play Safeway's $1 million touchdown to win, and you could win $1 million or a 27-inch Zenith color television. A Business Navigator personal organizer from Casio, the Minolta Dimage Pick digital camera. Corning's Revere Pro Line Cookware. Or win a vacation trip for two to the Vias Vallarta Hotel via Air Transat, courtesy of World of Vacations, Canada's #1 tour operator to the sun. Look for Campbell Soups, Sunripe Juice. Now there's a million more reasons to shop at Safeway, today's better way.
My car is a lot easier to maintain than these ostriches.
Maintenance is important if it's your hair or your car.
You definitely cannot trust an ostrich.
Cars are like old hockey players. They need lots of maintenance. They break down a lot.
I go to Al's place 3 times a year. Hi, I'm Al. He comes to my place whenever he needs a meatball.
Get your car or truck ready for winter with a Midas maintenance package. Hurry to Midas now and get all this for just $34.95.
$34.95. That's about 7 plates of spaghetti with meatballs.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you in part by Midas. Car care, the way it should be.
Well, Winnipeg, 3 minutes to go until the half. They have the football at the Argo 25-yard line, and Eric Blunt, a part of the reason why they're on the move again. The nice run and reception as well on this drive. Jay Walker looking composed as he throws it again. Finds Milt Stegall again. Big first down, close to the 5-yard line. It'll be 1st and goal, Bombers.
Well, whoever the new GM will be looking at this film of Jay Walker, and if they look at this last play, they'll see that he's got very good arm strength and pretty good accuracy throwing on the run. This is Stegall. He's going to work down into the seam. And Jay Walker on the run hits him.
Tries it again. Touchdown, Winnipeg. Stegall again.
Jay Walker again off his back foot, and this time he jumped. Tosses it up and over to Milt Stegall, over Byron Kaper's head. Another touchdown for the Bombers.
2 more catches tonight, 2 last week, and 6 on the season, an abbreviated season for the CFL's leading receiver in 1997. Milt Stegall, another touchdown. And based on tonight's game, you got to wonder which is the team getting ready for a playoff game next week. It certainly does not look like the Toronto Argonauts.
Right, you always want to win your last game. I mean, that, no matter what that is, if it's the Grey Cup, if it's a playoff game, whatever it is, if you win your last one, you're happy. You're in the playoffs, that means you won it all. If you're not in the playoffs, it means the last game of the regular season. This is important for the Bombers. It's important for their sanity in the offseason. Milt Stegall is helping them out.
It is interesting to note, though, that Winnipeg destroyed the Saskatchewan Roughriders on the last game of the regular season. Saskatchewan looked devastated, looked to be going nowhere. They were 3rd place in the West, and a couple of upsets along the way. They went to the Grey Cup. So maybe that's something, if this doesn't turn around for Toronto, that they can hang their hat on. But right now it's Gary Hoffman looking for his first win as a head coach, and it's looking a little better right now. And the scoring drive, once again, a 7-play drive resulting in a touchdown for Milt Stegall.
Key play, the 26-yard catch by Stegall, and that 2 very good throws by Jay Walker, who is really showing some athletic ability. He's run the football. He's finding the #1 target. He's going to the right guy. Milt Stegall's in one-on-one on the touchdown. And if you get one-on-one and you don't look for Milt Stegall, you're just not reading it right.
And it is the 2nd time an unknown quarterback has come in here at Winnipeg Stadium and got this crowd on its feet. Back in September, it was Troy Kopp, who turns out so far to be like a flavor of the month. It is now Jay Walker, clearly the leader, at least the way he has played in a short period of time in this 2nd quarter. Tony Smith on the return, and a good return it is, up across the 45. But this Toronto offense has shown us nothing tonight. And Kerwin Bell will come on and try to give it another shot and have something they can take to the second half. It's getting closer to halftime here.
Well, the last couple of games have really not been a reflection of the type of season Kerwin Bell has had this year. I mean, he came in and tried to fill some big shoes in Doug Flutie. There was a tremendous amount of pressure on Kerwin Bell, and he responded. He did a great job all season. He's on pace for over 5,000 yards, but in the last couple, he struggled.
He's throwing again. Good coverage, Maurice Kelly, all over the receiver, Dwayne Dimitrition, who catches the ball for a gain of about 4 yards.
But you know what? Doesn't matter how good of a season you've had, and Kerwin Bell has had a good one. It all comes down to being hot at the right time. The Argos are not hot right now. They need to turn up the heat in a hurry.
Absolutely. They give him 6 yards. His furthest point of advancement for Dimitrition, so it'll be a 2nd and 4 as a result. Once again, out of the shotgun is Bell. Over the middle, intercepted. Brandon Hamilton. And he's got a big return across the 40. Still on his feet, down to the 25, about the 23-yard line.
Sometimes you don't need to get home when you're blitzing to be effective. On that play, Maurice Kelly was going on the blitz. He was picked up by the center, Chad Folk. Chad Folk's going to pick him up. Maurice Kelly doesn't get home. But Kerwin Bell felt the pressure. He tried to rush the throw, and when he did, he slipped. The ball got away on him. Brandon Hamilton comes up with the interception.
2 turnovers each. But Winnipeg's been able to do more with its turnovers, certainly, than the Argos have with theirs. And they're knocking on the door again, looking to come up with more points and pad their lead. At the half, nearly picked off. A dangerous route there. And that was Adrian Smith, who thought he might have had it, and he would have been gone.
Yeah, I like what Jay Walker did, though. He went right over to his intended receiver, which in that case was Travis Anderson. And he said, listen, when you see the zone defense like that, just settle down. You don't have to always run full speed through your pattern. Sometimes you have to be smart. That time, Travis Anderson ran right through into second coverage. He's new in the lineup as well. Didn't read it properly, but Jay Walker just said, listen, next time, just settle it down. I'll find you.
On 2nd down, over the middle. Complete. Not enough for a 1st down, but inches it down a little closer. That one going to Spencer McLennan. And just adds to the great total so far for Jay Walker. 11 for 15 last week, and look what he's done tonight.
Well, I'm not a math major, but that's like 4 or 5. That's 6. Only 6 passes have gone incomplete. I like his poise. I mean, he's standing up in there, reading the defense, delivering strikes. I mean, he's playing against the #1 defense, too. I mean, he is playing against the Argonauts starters. They're not resting anybody at this point in the game.
Troy Westwood missed a field goal attempt earlier. This one from 26 yards. And that one is good. So Winnipeg, trying to avoid its 16th loss this season, is looking good. Heading towards halftime, 1:42 to go, and a 17-3 lead.
I got to go back to that point. You talk about winning your last game. I was talking to Joe Fleming on the sideline for the game, and he said, you know, the only saving grace last year in what was a very disappointing season was the fact that we beat Saskatchewan in the last game of the year. We had something to build on. When we're pushing all those weights and running track and trying to get in shape for the next year, you could go back to that in your mind and say, we played well when we finished. And then when Saskatchewan went on all the way to the Grey Cup champion, you said, you know what? That's how close we were last year. Even though we had a bad record, we beat the team that went to the Cup. That's how close. That's how important it is again tonight for him.
Kerwin Bell steps up and runs. And gets enough for an Argo 1st down. You don't often see him take off, but that time he had a lot of open real estate ahead of him.
Yeah, and that's where you're worried about your starting quarterback getting hit and getting injured. Kerwin Bell, drop back passer. You don't want him running around there and having linebackers taking free shots at him.
In his first game, a preseason game, he got injured late, and that meant Jay Barker had to start the season without any CFL experience. And Barker looked pretty good, given the circumstances for the first 4 games, but Bell has had, up until the last few games, Just a career season, the top-rated quarterback in the Canadian Football League, and only Danny McManus had thrown for more yards, but Bell leading in just about every other category. But as you have pointed out, this is not the way. This is the worst possible way you could be heading into the postseason, the way it's gone tonight in the last couple of weeks.
Well, and in fairness tonight, too, with Kerwin Bell not having a good night again, with Mike Clements out of the lineup, that is a huge hole for the Argonauts. Mike Clements is a possession receiver out of the backfield. He'll beat that linebacker. He'll give him a shake move and find an opening. Bell doesn't have him tonight.
And Clements was the closest thing they had to a running game. That long pass is caught. Paul Mazzotti, the leading receiver in Toronto Argonaut history, takes it inside the Winnipeg 40. So a rare big play for the Argos.
Paul Mazzotti can work all the way to the inside and then back to the corner. Brandon Hamilton's going to let him go. It's not his responsibility to be deep. You see, the deep man was Reggie Carthon, who was way back and inside on Daryl Mitchell. Daryl Mitchell speed down the seam, opened that one up for Paul Mazzotti. That's how two receivers can work together.
The ball at the 39 Winnipeg. First down Argos. 4 to the right. Bell looks left. Has another completed pass. The ball is dropped. And they're giving it to the Bombers. Mazzotti with the catch. Dropped the football. And Winnipeg's the last one to touch it.
That's right. That's all you need to do is be the last person to touch it, and it can't be kicked out. If you kick it out, possession goes to the other team. If you slap it out of bounds with your hands or any other part of your body, it goes to your team. So here's the look of it. This is Mazzotti. He's got it on the sideline now. He catches the hitch pass. Takes it up, and it's going to hit the turf. Brandon Hamilton pulls it out of there. Now, he's touched it there. This would have Carthon hit it with his hand. Paul Mazzotti kicked it. When the ball is kicked, it goes to the other team. That's why Winnipeg has it right now.
And that's interesting because it did look quite possibly like it was Mazzotti, the last one to actually touch it. But as you pointed out, it was his foot sending it out. So first down, and what else can go wrong for the Argos in this football game? Walker airs it out for running. 2 Argos in coverage, including Lester Smith, who knocks it down. Adrian Smith there as well.
Well, Adrian Smith was recovering. He got big-time help from his free safety, Lester Smith. Lester Smith leads the secondary in Toronto in interceptions with 6. He covered a ton of ground to get all the way to outside the hash mark and knock that ball away from Mitch running. That's getting some safety help. And Adrian Smith will say thank you very much to Lester.
The Smiths in that Argo defensive backfield, and Jay Walker not afraid to air it out, and a rare incompletion for him so far in this one. And there's another one thrown a little bit into behind, and Mitch running could not hang on to it.
That's what they love about Mitch running, though. He went and fully extended his body, twisted around behind him to try and catch that football. He knew he was going to get hit in the ribs, but they think that he's going to be a great one simply because he'll go after any football in any area on the field.
Just his 9th game, coming in about halfway through, and coming into this game 660 yards, far and away the leader as far as Winnipeg receivers go. Lester Smith back to return this punt from Bob Cameron, who stands at his 16. High snap, gets over his head. Cameron tries to fall on it and does. So good work by Cameron after the bad snap, and a flag down afterwards.
Grant Carter is the long snapper on punts.
And that'll be a safety, of course, for the Argos. They'll get 2 more on their total to make it 17-5, but better than a possible touchdown for Toronto.
And Bob Cameron's explaining to Carter right now that it was a little bit high. Well, for Bob Cameron, I would say that's a lot high. He got barely one hand on it. Carter gets it up there. It's a little bit wobbly, and Bob Cameron would have had to climb a ladder to get that one, but does do a nice job of scooping it up and avoiding the touchdown.
You get nervous for him, seeing him try to recover the ball, thinking, why doesn't he just kick it? Or do you think, obviously, that's the only thing he can do at that point? I thought maybe he'd just try to kick it out of bounds.
Well, yeah, that's the one, but that's how you look bad. The kickers run back there. They try and kick it on the fly. like a soccer ball, and they end up missing it completely and ending up on their backside. So they'd rather just try and scoop it, but you know you're going to get hit. And I've been there trying to hold for a field goal that has gone away and had to run back there knowing that the defense is right behind you, ready to plant one in the middle of your back. It's not easy to try and scoop up the football.
Major foul, face mask, Toronto, number 26. Toronto elected to take the ball, and the 35 penalty will be applied from there.
So Kelly Wiltshire called for the face mask afterwards. And for Gary Hoffman, who shows some signs of tension there, and Grant Carter, signs of frustration. Best case scenario, considering what happened.
Well, you know, Grant Carter is a competitor. He covers kicks, plays every down on defense. They ask him to snap long to Bob Cameron. That's not easy. I mean, you're barely trying to get your breath. Then you got to put your head between your legs, get hit in the back of the neck, and snap the ball perfectly. Grant Carter has had a couple this year go a little bit high, but makes it tough. Usually it's just center. It's just an extension of what he does, but here in Winnipeg, it's Grant Carter.
Fourth major foul, by the way. This has been a pretty rough game. No love lost between these two teams in this last week of the regular season. With the penalty applied, the Argos start at their 20, and Bell is throwing and completing one to Paul Massotti, who had the fumble the last time he touched the football. And another good gain for the Argonauts. First down up closer to the 40-yard line.
It's interesting. Paul Massotti caught that one on the sideline, got the first down, and was still shaking his head about the previous play.
Started with the Argos in 1988 and has not looked back. The elder statesman, if you will, in terms of time served with Toronto.
And was one of the guys that played here in the Grey Cup in 1991, the last time it was here in Winnipeg.
In fact, he had a touchdown catch, I believe, in a 36-21 win over Calgary from Matt Dunnigan. Wayne Dimitrition was saying incompleted pass, or we have a disparity among the guys in the stripes as to whether or not he caught that football, and the argument continues.
Kerwin Bell, I don't think I've ever seen him this vocal towards the officials all season. And I would say that this has got to be a little bit of frustration in his offense. He can't be that upset about one call.
We have to ask the question again. I know your reasons, like Don Matthews, obviously, for wanting to keep Kerwin Bell in this game, but the way the frustration has built. And as you pointed out, the temper's flaring with the officials now. I gotta wonder if it'd be better just to get him out of this game.
You know what, though? As an athlete, you always want to have it. You want to be able to control your destiny. If Kerwin Bell wants to turn around this offense and get some momentum, he's got to be the guy that does it. If he goes to the bench now, frustrated, that thought will be in his mind all the way up until the first round of the playoffs. I say you leave him in.
Well, he does get the completed pass to Dimitrition, and he has one to Nigel Williams. Easy first down and more across midfield down to about the Winnipeg 51, so the Sticks will move. Only 37 seconds showing on the scoreboard clock here at Winnipeg Stadium.
Well, 37 seconds is plenty of time. Be 7 or 8 plays, provided you execute them quickly. Kerwin Bell will likely call 2 plays in the huddle right now, so that if they complete this one, they go right on the line of scrimmage and are ready to run to the next one.
Working exclusively out of the shotgun now. Bell throws again, complete again. Fumbled, but out of bounds. Bombers say it's theirs, but it's not. That was Daryl Mitchell, so add more to his total as he picks up about 6 more.
Well, Daryl Mitchell knows that Winnipeg is going to have to play some zone coverage and play off. They don't want to give up a deep one right off the bat in one play, so they're going to let the Argos complete a couple underneath, move the ball up slowly.
Gain of 7 yards for Mitchell, now 32 shy of 2,000, 69 shy of the all-time single-season yardage record as Bell takes off again and picks up the first down Argos across the 40-yard line.
Kerwin Bell wanted Daryl Mitchell the whole way on that play, but he got the blanket coverage from Reggie Carthon. We saw Daryl Mitchell run a little under pattern where Carthon was way off him. That time Carthon got up into a bump technique, took him away.
Bell Left side, nearly picked off again. Intended for Dwayne Dimitrition, and it falls incomplete. It'll be second down.
But Kerwin Bell knows very well that you have to throw that wide field out on time. If you wait too long, it's going to take too long to get there. The defender can break on it. Nick Ferguson had a shot. He left his feet to try and catch that one, but that ball took way too long to get out of Kerwin Bell's hand.
13 seconds showing on the clock. It is second down. It would take a 47-yard field goal from where they're scrimmaged right now, and Bell is under a lot of pressure. He will get it away with someone in his face, and it is intercepted. Nick Ferguson gets his pick just a play after he nearly had one. And another turnover going Winnipeg's way.
He got another chance. Nick Ferguson almost had the previous play when he dove for it, and this time he battles and gets another chance at it. And again, it was a tough catch, but this time number 33 comes up with it for the Bombers and really takes points off the board for the Argos. Kerwin Bell wanted to go to Daryl Mitchell, but this time, again, Reggie Carthon from the outside. He got a little help from the inside from Brad Elbert, who you won't see to the right of your screen, but Carthon was saying, if you're going to throw to someone, it's going to be someone other than Daryl Mitchell on this play.
And Joe Fleming was right in the face of Kerwin Bell as he got that one away. That kind of night for Kerwin Bell and the Argo offense. With just seconds left, they'll run it out. Jay Walker just going down on a knee to kill the clock and take a lead into the locker room. Bombers fans have something to cheer about in this final game of the season for them. They lead it 17-5. Back to Friday Night Football control.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the half. Here's your host, James Duffy.
Not exactly the way the Argos wanted to tune up for the playoffs. Now, on the Bombers side, if you've been keeping score at home this season, it's gone Rubley, Vargas, Mason, Kopp, and Jay Walker. Yes, we told you earlier Tillman had already cut a couple of guys. Well, he's already got a bonus ready for Walker. You've been impressed, Eric.
Yeah, it's been a great first half for him. He showed poise, he showed leadership, he's made good decisions, and he's moving this football team. And on that last touchdown that Winnipeg got, just a big mental mistake by the Toronto Argonauts. Number 16, Byron Capers, got beat inside by Milt Stegall in the red zone. Inside the 20, DB should never get beat inside, Chris.
Absolutely, but what I agree with you and Mark, and the way you can beat Toronto's defense is they position themselves defensively to bring one more player, then you have the ability to block regardless of the formation, especially in second and long. So if you have a quarterback that can stay calm, that can have some type of communication with the inside receiver or the wide receiver, and sometimes it's a little nod in the head or just a wink to say, run this pattern, adjust this, I'm going to be under pressure, you're going to make plays. That's the big issue here, is really Walker's communication with his receivers, taking the pressure away from the Argonauts.
You know, Don Matthews also has to be concerned about his kicking game. So far, he's had a decent year, but Bigos tonight has been B-gross, Eric.
Yeah, he's just been awful. You know, what can I say? I guess guys named Eric just don't get along very well with Don Matthews.
Not at all. But you know what? My observation on Eric Bigos, and look at the way the kid's dressed. He's more worried about the cold weather than he is kicking the football. I know somebody out there saying, no, that doesn't matter. But think about it for a minute. He's got a long jacket on. He's got that nice little hand warmer on. He's worried about the weather. I have news for him. It's really not that cold. If you have to play the Grey Cup in there, it's going to be 10 times colder than that. Don't worry about it. Kick the football.
You really don't like kicking.
I like him a lot, man. They give you something to talk about.
The Bombers in control in this one. Milt Stegall with a couple of first-half TDs from Jay Walker as the Bombers try to end an awful season on a positive note. We shall return. Sunday, the CFL on CBC. It's the Alouettes and the Tiger Cats. An Eastern final preview? Perhaps. We will find out. CFL on CBC Sunday afternoon, 1 o'clock Eastern, 10 a.m. Pacific is the start time on that one. And a report out of Montreal today says Dave Ritchie is done in Montreal after the season and that he is headed to Winnipeg with Eric Tillman. What's the deal? You haven't officially accepted the job yet. We thought we still had you here and you've already hired a coach?
Speculation, speculation. I think I'm still under contract here, James. You know, I have great respect for Dave Ritchie. We had 3 wonderful years in BC. We were fortunate enough to win a Grey Cup. He's a fine football coach. In fact, I spoke to him today, and I can tell you one thing. His focus is exactly where it should be, on his football team, the Montreal Alouettes. Dave Ritchie wants to win a Grey Cup. His focus is on Winnipeg, only from one perspective. That's where the Grey Cup is, and that's where it should be.
If this stuff keeps going around, we're going to file tampering charges. TSN is. Now, this game, these two teams, Montreal and Hamilton, they could end up playing each other in 2 weeks. This is a nothing game. How do you approach a game like this, Chris?
I really don't think it's that difficult based on the players that Hamilton has. Remember, Hamilton's a team that has gone from last place to first place very quickly, which means you have some character people that know how to mentally get prepared for each and every game. I actually anticipate a pretty hard-hitting game, but sure, I don't think you're going to see much of Pringle. I don't think you're going to see much of Tracy Ham. And you might not even see much of Danny McManus, but these guys understand that there's a distinct possibility they're going to meet. You know, in 2 weeks, they will try to set the tone. And I mean a little bit more in the blood and guts area. The offensive guards versus the defensive tackles, the outside pass rushers, the cornerbacks on the one-on-one. They will use this time productively. Yes, the number one issue is to stay healthy, no doubt about it. But the other number two issue is to get that edge in the game. And they'll try to do that in this game. There's no doubt.
Now, the other two games this weekend are the most important games relevant to the standings. If BC wins and if Edmonton loses, then BC will finish second. If either one of those things doesn't happen, Edmonton will finish second and host the West game. And you talked before the game about how crucial it is for Edmonton because you don't think they have a shot if they have to go into BC.
Well, I think it's a very difficult place to play in BC place when you've got as many weapons as the BC Lions have. Edmonton has a rich history at home. They've won a lot of games there. And when you go into Commonwealth and it's cold and you got that field in shaky condition, it's a big, big advantage. So Kay Stevenson really wants to win Sunday and go into the playoffs with the right mental frame of mind.
And you know, Eric, I'll give you another idea in terms of why BC Lions would like this at home, because imagine the wide receiving core, Harris, imagine him on AstroTurf, imagine Jackson on AstroTurf, and Damon Allen. This is their environment where they can use that speed a little bit better, and also Juan Johnson, he can cut a little bit better on the indoor facility. BC Lions do not practice in bad weather. Edmonton does, Winnipeg does. It's nice weather out in BC. For them to be at home, that would be a huge advantage, James, no doubt.
All right, BC Lion fans hoping that they will be able to get playoff tickets for a home game. They haven't had one in nearly a decade. Here are your CFL ticket numbers. There are still chances for you to see a game, unless, of course, you're in Winnipeg, Saskatchewan, and Toronto. Sorry, but write them down for next year. We will be back.
When you're a champion, you've got to work night and day to protect your title. Everyone wants to put you to the test, to make you sweat. But if you've got antibacterial odor fighters in your corner and 24-hour wetness protection, the kind you find in new Speed Stick Ultimate Antiperspirant, the best speed stick ever, you'll be a star in and out of the ring. New Speed Stick Ultimate, tough 24-hour protection.
5 minutes. We're not the first city to have to deal with terrorism. This is New York City. We can take it.
They're attacking our way of life. The president wants it stopped, and there's only one way to do that.
I'm declaring martial law in this city.
In 7 days, freedom is history.
If we shred the Constitution, bend the law, and they've already won.
Denzel Washington, Annette Bening, and Bruce Willis.
Right now, right here, I am the law.
The Siege, Friday only in theaters.
You expect to drive your Toyota for a long time. But servicing is key. Some mechanics know a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. Only Toyota Quality Service guarantees the work is done right by the time promised at the price quoted. They've even put their name on it. Just look for this Quality Service pledge only at your Toyota retailer.
Toyota Quality Service, the one to trust.
Welcome back, everybody. Well, statistics can sometimes be misleading. The Argos pretty much dominating as far as total offense goes, especially in the passing category, but they are behind substantially on the board. Eric?
How many times have you heard statistics are for losers? The only thing that matters is the score, and it's been a great first half of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, James.
Okay, now our players of the week from last week. Louis Pasaglia, the old guy, keeps on ticking and keeps on kicking. 7 for 7 in field goals, tying a team record. Gerald Vaughn and Fred Childress round out our players of the week. Second half kickoffs next.
More Adidas Friday Night Football in a moment. Right now, let's bring you up to date on what's going on in the NHL. The Toronto Maple Leafs playing the Buffalo Sabres tonight, or should I say the Leafs are watching the Sabres play tonight. First period, Richard Smellick, point shot tipped by Matthew Barnaby, beats Cujo, and it's 2-0 for the Sabres. Late in the first, shot from Jay McKee. 3 Leafs watch it go to Derek Plant. He scores 3-0 Sabres after the first period. Oh my, bad news for the Leaf fans. Daryl Shannon takes Sergei Berezin hard into the end boards. Berezin was in obvious pain, had to leave the game due to bruised ribs. Look how painful that looks. Second period, Sabres in the power play. Point shot, stopped Brian Holzinger, open net. 4-0 Sabres at that point. Now they're in the third period, and that is your score. Some other scores to tell you about. The Caps and the Flames, they're scoreless there in the first period. The Panthers lead the Hawks 3-1 there in the second period. Joey Newendijk with a pair of goals, including the 400th goal of his career, as the Stars lead the Ducks 2-0, and the Rangers lead the Canes 1-0. You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football. More at the half in a moment.
A cough or sore throat? Aren't you glad you have friends? Like Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges. They even make nasal passages feel clearer. So try Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges with over 100 years of effectiveness.
Psoriasis, seborrheic dermatitis, dandruff. Symptom, persistent, itchy, flaky scalp. Solution, Neutrogena T-Gel. It works. Neutrogena T-Gel Shampoo.
CFL football is one tough game. Touch football is one fun game. Football Canada and Football Ontario invite you to have some fun. Join one of the many adult touch football leagues across Canada. The Canadian Football League, along with Molson Canadians, support their efforts. Call Football Canada or Football Ontario and get in the game.
Just the two of us. We can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Building those castles in the sky. Just the two of us. You and I.
Some Air Miles rewards don't involve air travel at all, but they still bring people closer together.
Just the two of us.
Play the All-Star game at McDonald's.
Rangers, I gotta have a Rangers. Come on, Rangers. Wow, Leafs, I can use that. I wonder why I can't get a Rangers piece.
Collect all new NHL divisions and you could win a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo. $9,999 in cash. A trip to the NHL All-Star game or even a visit with Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, what do you know? I got the Rangers again.
Welcome back to Winnipeg Stadium. Hey, if you'd given this guy a full season, he might have given Daryl Mitchell a run for his money. Milt Stegall, another great game tonight with a couple of touchdowns, Glenn.
Well, he first of all does a real good job on the first touchdown to make a nice move on Marcelo Simmons right there. Marcelo Simmons wondering where he went. Well, he went right in the end zone is where he went. And then the other one was a little bit easier. Just an inside move on Byron Capers. Right down on the goal line. And number 2 on the night, Milt Stegall.
And that one capped off a great 7-play drive, especially for Jay Walker, who went 5 for 5 on it. That fifth one connecting for another touchdown. He came on early in the second quarter when Troy Kopp was totally ineffective. And like Kopp against Saskatchewan back in September, has electrified this crowd and maybe gives them something to think about heading into next year, although quarterback is certainly going to be the big question mark for the Bombers in '99.
Well, it's interesting how quickly you can do that, because Jay Walker's had a pretty good half, and I'm walking up and down the media row here in the press box, and all of a sudden I hear like 4 guys go, "Hey, that's Jay Walker. He's our guy. We found our guy."
Just like it was Troy Kopp, not so long ago. As far as the quarterback comparison goes, Kerwin Bell not having a great time, especially with the interceptions, but I mean, still, for Kerwin Bell, not the greatest of numbers.
No, it isn't. He's got some yardage because he's had the ball a lot. I mean, they're dominating the time of possession, but 4 turnovers for the Argos
in a half of football and 2 interceptions from Bell. He is not finding receivers downfield. Not all his fault. He's had time. The offensive line have done a pretty nice job. Receivers are not getting open. They miss pinball.
They say not Kerwin Bell type numbers because 19 of 30. I mean, he came into this game completing over 67% of his passes, easily #1 in the CFL, and his touchdown to turnover to interception ratio, 27 TDs and only 12 were picked off. So this is a rough night. And a rough first half, sorry, Glenn, for the Toronto Argonauts, down by 12 points.
Well, we've been watching the 2 star receivers, Daryl Mitchell on one sideline and Milt Stegall. We saw what he did in the first half, and Daryl Mitchell in the first half, well, he never found the end zone. The Argos, as a team, never found the end zone, but Mitchell did see the football a little bit. Hitch pass right there, picked up some yards on that one. Of course, later in the game, got one over the middle on Reggie Carthon for some yardage. He's trying to catch Alan Pitts as the all-time leader in single season in yardage.
And he needs 76 yards to do it, although just 39 shy, becoming the 3rd ever to hit the 2,000 mark in receiving yardage in a single season. Second half of this game is underway in Winnipeg. Eric Blunt with the kickoff return and gets it to about the 37-yard line. So Bombers with the football to start off this second half, and we're going to see more of this guy, Jay Walker.
He's a big guy. He weighs about 220 pounds, Jay Walker. Stands 6'3", strong arm. They were worried when he first got to camp in September that he was just so far out of shape that he may never be in shape in time to play a game, but he's worked really hard in practice, on the bike afterwards, to try and get his weight down and get himself in shape a little bit, and he looks like he's holding his own right now.
You see the sleeves underneath. He's certainly dressed for this weather tonight, although not too bad for a late October evening here in Winnipeg. Eric Blunt on the carry. Gets up about 5 yards.
Well, Eric Blunt broke a record that he would probably tell you that he would rather not have broken, and that is kickoff return yardage. Eric Blunt this year, combined yards, is doing an outstanding job. His kickoff return yardage was a CFL record, but he had almost double the amount of attempts at returns than the next guy on the list, Marvin Coleman.
That's what happens when your team gets scored on a lot, as has been the case here in Winnipeg this year. As once again, Jay Walker looks across to the sideline to get some more instructions.
Well, you know that Jay Walker cannot know a whole lot of plays by this point. I mean, he definitely is not in position to call plays. That's why he's looking at his wristband. He's got down and distance situations on that wristband. That's what it looks like. It'll say 1st and 10, and then it'll have a list of about 10 plays. Then it'll say 2nd and medium, 2nd and long, and he goes off that list.
From a distance, it looks like he has a watch that just is not keeping its time properly. Keeps staring at it. Getting his new plays and making new plays here. Throws that one and completes it to Matt DeBuck on 1st down. Across midfield. So Bombers are moving this football again.
He said on that last play, well, I slipped a little bit, or I would put that one right on the money and not a little low to you. Check with Harry Jesvig. Harry Jesvig's really taken over as the offensive coordinator here in Winnipeg when Joe Pow left, and he's really had to deal with different quarterbacks and different receivers and different thoughts heading into meetings. It's not been easy for Harry Jesvig.
Up in the air again, just a bit too far for Milt Stegall, or he might have hit pay dirt once more. Already has twice. And a smile from Jay Walker as he knows he just had a little bit too much on that.
Well, they called it. Harry Jesvig called it from the sideline. Jay Walker agreed with the call. He dropped back, saw the open Milt Stegall, and then they just didn't make it happen. And it was a couple of inches.
And it looks like Milt Stegall thinks maybe he should have had it. He did get the fingertips on it. I think it would have been an outstanding catch. And so Winnipeg will be punting. Cameron back at his 42. Just 2 punts on the day. Remember, he had one snap sail over his head last time out, but that snap is good, and the punt gets a nice roll too. Lester Smith can do nothing with it but pick it up and just trot out of bounds. So the Argos and Kerwin Bell will start again deep in their own zone.
Play Safeway's $1 Million Touchdown to Win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you have won VTEX 900 megahertz digital cordless telephone with visual name and number call waiting caller ID, featuring 50 caller ID memory, 20 number speed dial storage, and backlit keypad. Or a Samsung Hi8 Hi-Fi stereo camcorder with color viewfinder, 12 times optical power zoom, built-in lens cover, and remote control. Simply treasured for now and for always. Simply Samsung. Enter your ballot at your local Safeway Food and Drug today.
Just the two of us, we can make it if we try. Just the two of us. Just the two of us. Just the two of us, building those castles in the sky. Just the two of us, you and I.
Some Air Miles rewards don't involve air travel at all, but they still bring people closer together.
Just the two of us.
What's new for lunch at Tim Hortons? Our sandwiches. New Tim's Own home-style sandwiches are made with a freshly baked country bun. That's new. And we've added tomato. That's new, too. We even have our own creamy new dressing. It all adds up to a whole new sandwich. From Black Forest ham and Swiss to garden vegetable. There are 6 new varieties to choose from. Made fresh and fast for you. New Tim's Own sandwiches. The home-style sandwich that's making a lot of news.
Last week in the CFL, much fuss was made, and rightly so, about the 2,000 yards for Mike Pringle rushing. But check this out, 38 more yards for Daryl Mitchell, and he joins a very exclusive club, reaching 2,000. And he wants more than that as he continues to chase Alan Pitts as well. Single season yardage record. Mitchell has it, turns it up, and will get a few yards out of this play and slowly add to his total.
Dwayne Demetrician was trying to block Reggie Carthon on the play, but Reggie Carthon read it so quickly, he was up there in a hurry. You see Carthon, 26, just run right past the block of Demetrician, and that forced Mitchell to bounce to the inside a little far, and Brandon Hamilton makes a tackle.
2nd and 5. 33 yards to go for Mitchell until 2,000. Out of the shotgun, Bell. Oh, what a catch. One-handed for Daryl Mitchell. And even though it's a short gain and not a first down, it's one for the highlight reel.
Outright. You brought up Alan Pitts. He made the great one-hander last week. I mean, look at how this is this unbelievable catch. Behind your back, one hand, didn't even need to put the other hand on there. You know, just need one hand for that kind of catch. I mean, you can't coach that. You can't coach that kind of athletic ability, and that's why Daryl Mitchell is so great. He can make plays for you like that.
But it wasn't enough for the first down, so the Argos will be punting. Noah Prefontaine, who's averaging over 50 on 3 punts tonight, his longest over 70 yards, standing back at his 2. They could use one of those 70-yard jobs right now. Low, as he's been his trademark tonight. Eric Blunt takes it at midfield. And not much more. Gets it up to the Argo 50, but Jay Walker will go back to work again. Coming up tomorrow, Sports Desk Extra with John Wells. A look at what's going on in the world of sports and a look ahead. Coming up, 11 a.m. Eastern Time and 8 a.m. Pacific.
There's some nice features on that show. That's a lot of fun to watch that one. Oh, buddy Wellesley.
John Wells.
Yeah. They will also be here at Grey Cup to do the show right from Winnipeg for the whole week. So,
is that not the home of John Wells?
Winnipeg? Yeah, I believe. Well, he's made stops in Regina, and I believe here as well. Yeah.
Eric Blunt, the ball carrier. As Jay Walker looks soft for more instructions. The Grey Cup hype has begun here in Winnipeg. A good crowd here tonight, and looking forward to putting on the big show on this stage here at Winnipeg Stadium in 3 weeks' time. They'll really be gearing it up. Bomber fans just wish the Bombers had a chance to be there, which they don't. But looking not too bad tonight. Another completion for Jay Walker. Bruce Boyko, number 14, with the catch.
He'll be short for the first down, but Jay Walker is making good decisions. I mean, a lot of young quarterbacks, when you're scrambling like that, will panic and just kind of throw the ball away. But Jay Walker is patient. He's hanging on to the football when he has to, buying himself some time, and then not throwing it unless he finds someone open. That was a positive play, despite the fact that they did not come up with the first down.
Troy Westwood is out to attempt a field goal. He has the longest field goal in the CFL this year at 54 yards. So you could argue this is within his range. He snapped from the 45, so it'll be about a 52.5-yarder for Westwood. Has the accuracy, has the distance. Another big kick by Westwood. And the Bombers pad their lead. Winnipeg is now up by 15, 20-5 on Adidas Friday Night Football.
It's the way we welcome the sun with 35 sunblock. The way some of the best water now mostly comes in bottles. It's the way we make time for exercise and like to enjoy reading. Today, more and more people are finding reasons to take better care of themselves. That's why Subway offers 7 subs, each under 6 grams of fat. Because when you're through surfing, you might want to go for a swim. Subway, it's the way a sandwich should be.
You've probably heard it all before. So what are you going to do? What are you going to be? Where are you going to fit? Work is changing. You've got a lot of good choices out there. There's a lot opening up, but it won't just happen. You got a plan. Make the right moves.
Canada's Youth Employment Strategy. For career planning info, call 1-800-935-5555. Take on your future.
Well, Eric Begos is having problem with his plant foot. Troy Westwood really isn't, but Troy Westwood has the same kind of shoe on as Bob Cameron. On his left foot, Bob Cameron has a broom ball shoe on. So does Troy Westwood. That's on his plant foot, which is his right foot. And he has been able to step right into those kicks, which is why he made a 52-yarder. And they're wearing broom ball shoes.
There you go. They've got that edge. They know about this field at this time of year. Been able to make that adjustment. Daryl Mitchell with the catch, reaches high to get it on first down. Nigel Williams, number 82.
Well, Kerwin Bell is still trying to sling it, and we've talked about the lack of running game for the Toronto Argonauts, and again, it's evident here tonight. They're down 20-5. Now they're going to have to throw the ball more to come back, no question about it, but they really never established a running game from the very beginning of the game here tonight, and you really have to think that has to be a concern for Don Matthews heading into the playoffs. Just 18 yards rushing tonight, just not good enough.
Bell under pressure and down. Tyrone Rogers throws the Argos for a big loss.
On the other side of the ball, when you don't have to worry about a running game, you pin your ears back and you go get the quarterback. That's all you have to worry about. And Kerwin Bell can turn around and pretend he's faking screens all he wants. It doesn't matter to the defensive line. Tyrone Rogers just took off.
The difficulty running is magnified when their far and away best running back, Pinball Clements, with over 600 yards rushing, is not in the lineup tonight. And there's been a lot of heat on Bell. And a little heat there on Prefontaine, and this is one of his shorter ones of the night, although he gets a good roll out to midfield. Eric Blunt draws the flag for no yards. The Bombers are still going to have good field position to work with.
Well, Rod, we talked about the running game and the lack of it for the Argonauts. Look at this statistic. Last season, 2,000 yards rushing, 22 touchdowns. Robert Drummond, almost 1,200 yards. This year, cut in half. 1,000 yards rushing for the team, 8 touchdowns. I mean, that tells the story. And it is still a concern heading into the playoffs, especially when you have a drop-back quarterback like Kerwin Bell, who is going to be in the pocket. Damon Allen can provide some running of his own in the BC Lions situation. Kerwin Bell cannot. And that's why it's so much more important for Toronto.
And compare the Argos to 4 other teams that are bound for the playoffs: BC, Calgary, Montreal, Hamilton. They all have good running games at this time. Mitch running, off and running after he makes that catch from Jay Walker. A flag is down, and he's inside the Toronto 30.
Well, Milt Siegel's going to get a couple of yards added onto his total, because I think he picked up the fumble. Mitch running fumbled it at the end of the play. It took one bounce right into Stiegel's hands.
Major foul, face mask, Toronto number 9, first down Winnipeg.
Oh boy, that'll be tacked on. Marcelo Simmons was nailed for the face masking call, so that will be added on, and then this becomes a huge play. Mitch running a little stop and go, comes up, wins the jump ball, then there's the face mask penalty with the left hand on Marcelo Simmons. The ball comes out there, one hop to Milt Stiegel on the bounce pass. He gets 2 more yards.
So it's 1st and 10, Winnipeg, at the Argo 15. Walker. Oh, just beyond the outstretched hand of Eric Blunt. He was in the end zone.
Well, it was a matchup. Eric Blunt on Kelly Wiltshire. Eric Blunt was covered initially. Wiltshire did his job there, but he opened up late.
And look at that. The sign of the frustration in 1998 for Winnipeg. No touchdown, offensive touchdown in the 3rd quarter this season.
Yeah, they've scored 2 on returns. Eric Blunt's had 2 on returns, but they haven't scored an offensive touchdown all year, which is amazing.
They have a chance here at the Argo 15. It's complete to Spencer McLennan, but he doesn't have enough for the first down. So it looks like another field goal coming up for Winnipeg.
Well, they want him to go. They want him to go for it here in Winnipeg. No question about it.
But Gary Hoffman will not comply.
Gary Hoffman wants the points. You know, I mean, he's thinking big picture. There's a lot of enthusiasm here from the fans here in Winnipeg, who finally have something to cheer about. Their Bombers up 20-5. But this is not the position to get silly. This is a long 3 yards for a first down. That's a lot of real estate to make up, and likely the wise move here for Gary Hoffman, because he's considering the win.
And he's still looking for his first win as an interim head coach. 0-3 coming in. That one is up and through. A short one for Troy Westwood this time around. And it is now an 18-point lead for Winnipeg. 23-5 Blue Bombers in the 3rd quarter. November the 22nd, it's Grey Cup Sunday right here at Winnipeg Stadium. If you need tickets, 1-888-473-9287.
Up over 30,000 sold now for the Grey Cup game. And obviously we don't know which 2 teams will be competing in that game yet. The feeling, if it ends up being Calgary or Edmonton, there could be quite a rush to get tickets for that from that province.
Well, if you go by momentum, count BC as a strong contender right now, of course, with the number of wins they've been able to rattle off. Is another short completion there to Daryl Mitchell.
Boy, are they ever hot. 5 wins in a row for the BC Lions under Greg Mons, and they have a running game in Juan Johnson, and Daryl Mitchell at 29 yards from 2,000.
But getting back to what we were talking about before, the absence of an Argo ground game. You look at Ronald Williams in Hamilton, of course Pringle in Montreal, and Juan Johnson. Calgary has a running game too. The two teams least likely, at least the way things have been going, heading into the playoffs, are the Argos and the Edmonton Eskimos, just based on the regular season. Obviously things can change. Saskatchewan proved that last year.
Yeah, no question about it, but it's not necessarily that you have to have the great running back like Mike Pringle or anything else, but what you need is balance. And Juan Johnson gives Damon Allen balance. That's what Kelvin Anderson does for Jeff Garcia. He makes you respect him with his running ability, and that they stick with the running game throughout the game. They're going to give those guys the ball 20 to 25, sometimes even 30 times a game. You have to respect that defensively. It gives you that balance so you can throw the ball more effectively.
That completion to Mazzotti made it a first down, and he throws his way again. Mazzotti with the catch, this time for about a gain of 5 or 6 yards for the Argos up near midfield.
Well, now that Winnipeg has the lead, they're going to play more zone defense, so Paul Mazzotti then becomes more important. Paul Mazzotti is this guy up here. Now, Paul Mazzotti is the guy who's going to look for the zone, look for the hole. He sees it, so I'm going to just sit down. Brandon Hamilton's sitting high. I'm going to turn around in front of him, catch the football. Paul Mazzotti becomes more and more involved in the offense when teams play more and more zone.
90 yards shy of another 1,000-yard season. Need a lot to get to that mark here tonight. That one incomplete. Good coverage there by the Bombers, intended for Mitchell.
Teamwork from the Winnipeg secondary. Brandon Hamilton will go for the ball, and Maurice Kelly will go for the knockout shot right there. Mitchell gets the incompletion and a headache and a stroll to the sideline.
Or just about a headache. Might have been just a fraction of an inch before getting clocked right there. Another punt coming up here for Noel Prefontaine at his 40, averaging about 43 yards a punt. Argo offense
hands
failing to summon much, so punting again, only 5 points on the board here tonight in Winnipeg. Eric Blunt out of bounds, about the 25. Winnipeg football. Winnipeg lead. Back after this.
Play Safeway's $1 Million Touchdown to Win. If your name appears, you won a fabulous trip for two to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. You'll stay at the Villas Vallarta Hotel and fly Air Transat, all courtesy of World of Vacations, Canada's #1 tour operator to the sun. $1 Million Touchdown to Win at Safeway Food and Drug.
When you're a champion, you've got to work night and day to protect your title. Everyone wants to put you to the test, to make you sweat. But if you've got antibacterial odor fighters in your corner and 24-hour wetness protection, the kind you find in new Speed Stick Ultimate Antiperspirant, the best speed stick ever, you'll be a star in and out of the ring. New Speed Stick Ultimate, tough 24-hour protection.
5 minutes.
No one can match their numbers. No one goes to such lengths to keep your Toyota running its absolute best. For the finest care, see only your Toyota retailer. Toyota quality service, the one to trust.
Play Safeway's $1 Million Touchdown to Win for your chance to win $1 million. Participating products include Ocean Spray Cocktail, McCain Super Prize Tasty Taters or Battered Fries, Pillsbury Pizza Pops. Now there's a million more reasons to shop at Safeway, today's better way.
Friday night football tonight.
This is the last night of our CFL coverage, but our football coverage continues. The NFL on TSN. The 5-2 Oakland Raiders against the 4-3 Seattle Seahawks. Sunday, 8:15 p.m. Eastern, 5:15 Pacific.
We talked a lot about Doug Flutie and his success in Buffalo, and let's not forget that playing in that game, another former CFL star, Warren Moon, will start for Seattle.
Eric Blunt on the handoff. Good yardage, first down and more, up to the Winnipeg 39. on the first play of that drive. The clear-cut choice for outstanding player in this Winnipeg team. One of the 8 nominees for that hardware that'll be dished out Grey Cup week. And there they are. Interesting in the West, especially some of the choices made, Glenn.
Yeah, you look at Kelvin Anderson. I mean, Kelvin Anderson has had a great season, 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard year, and a lot of people thought that maybe Jeff Garcia would get the nod out of Calgary, but you know, when you think of the fact that when Jeff Garcia was nicked and Dave Dickinson came in the game, and the horse just kept going forward over there in Calgary. So Kelvin Anderson obviously very deserving. I think that Jeff Garcia will have his day.
The interesting choice we saw there, Steve Muhammad, who is also up for top rookie. BC, I mean, you could have gone with Juan Johnson, I suppose, in both cases, rookie and top player. That must have been a tough choice out in Vancouver.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, you think about what Juan Johnson has done for the BC Lions over their 5-game win streak. It's truly amazing.
We talk about great rookies, of course. There is the 1997 Rookie of the Year in Darryl Mitchell, and the nominee for outstanding player from Toronto.
But when you think about Juan Johnson, you may wonder, is it back to the outstanding player or the most valuable player? And again, I think Juan Johnson has been the most valuable player in the BC Lions over the stretch that they have won those 5 games. Steve Muhammad played all season and has been outstanding all season. So, you know, I guess it's how you look at it. But either way, I think that the Rookie of the Year is going to be a BC Lion this year.
I'd have to agree with you right there. The nominees tonight, Mitchell and Blunt. Mitchell still chasing that 2,000 mark, and it has been pretty tough going for him on this night. And a pretty ineffective Argonaut offense. Winnipeg with the ball. Fake. Walker almost loses it, gets it away up near midfield, and flags down. And they wave it off incomplete. A couple of flags down in the field back near the Winnipeg backfield.
Well, it looked like Jay Walker may have been face masked on the play. Didn't catch the number of the truck that got him. It may have been Jermaine Haley.
Holding, Winnipeg, number 60. Major foul, face mask, Toronto. 5-yard penalty, first down Winnipeg.
Yeah, it was Jermaine Haley that was called on the face mask. Here comes the face mask right here. The holding is at the top on him. Dave Van Conant doing the holding on Jermaine Haley, and then he gets frustrated and grabbed Jay Walker's face mask. So they both get some penalties.
But another major against the Argos with that face masking. 6 major penalties totaling 115 yards against Toronto tonight. This time he hands off to Blunt. Eric Blunt. Near first down yardage, gets it. And then a little bit more for good measure across midfield. Winnipeg will hang on to that ball, but another flag is down on the other side of the field. But going against the Argos this time. Again, there will be a first down, Blue Bombers in Argo territory.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Toronto, number 50. First down, Winnipeg.
Frustration mounts. Mike O'Shea called, so let's add it up here. 7 majors and 120 yards against the Argos.
Again, another concern for the Toronto Argonauts as they head into the playoffs. They're going to be on the road. They're not going to get any home crowd help. 11 penalties, 130 yards. You get that in a playoff game, you lose.
Inside the 40-yard line. Eric Blunt slicing his way through. Good running by Blunt to get it down close to the Argo 30.
You know, there's some guys that weren't nominated for the awards. We mentioned some of the outstanding player awards. Kerwin Bell, one of them, having a great season. He struggled the last couple of games, but he is just having a tremendous year. I mentioned Jeff Garcia. Darren Flutie always up there, you know, in the totals, 1,200 yards so far this year. And of course, Rod, you mentioned Juan Johnson, the season he's had.
Second and short.
Okay, Ted, it's okay.
Big pile up right around the 32.
You know, Juan Johnson will very likely get 1,000 yards rushing in half a season. He actually has a larger rushing average than Mike Pringle. If you project his numbers and say, what would he have done had he played all year, he might be around the 2,000 mark.
It's remarkable. Up near 7 yards a carry that he's had. So it was a short gain by Eric Blunt, not enough for a first down. So Westwood is out again with that Groom ball shoe in the right that Glenn talked about, the plant foot.
The good news is it helps your footing. The bad news is it doesn't look great.
He's not trying to make a fashion statement, though. Just get it through the uprights. Trying this one from 37. Through the uprights it goes. 3 more points for the Bombers. And it would take 3 converted touchdowns for the Argos to get back into this football game. They are really down. 26-5 Winnipeg.
And really showing no signs of life, especially offensively.
If we are to draw a parallel with Saskatchewan last year, do you see one here? The way Saskatchewan performed so badly in their last game here in Winnipeg, the way the Argos are doing the same?
Well, the difference may be that Saskatchewan, although they struggled at times during the year and obviously, you know, walked in here and got beat up by Winnipeg the last game of the season, had all the elements. You know, they had a Mike Saunders, they had a running quarterback in Reggie Slack, some pretty good receivers in Mayfield and Don Narcisse. I mean, there were elements there that you could say, hey, in any given time, this team could break out, and they did. Don Matthews has a big hole offensively, running game. And I don't know that Tony Smith has shown that he can step in there and get it done when they need it most, and that will be in the next 2 weeks.
Put 5 more on the board for Daryl Mitchell as he tries to work his way closer to 2,000. This time it's Nigel Williams on the receiving end for an Argo first down. The Argos finishing third in 1998, and look what's happened when they finished third before. 1994, losing in the semi to Baltimore. Then you have to go back all the way to 1977 when they lost to the Ottawa Rough Riders, and again 10 years earlier. It hasn't worked out. I don't see any Grey Cup final appearances there for the Toronto Argonauts, so history doesn't work on their side, does it?
No, and plus remember that this is a team in the last 2 seasons that in the last 2 years have really cruised into the playoffs.
Absolutely.
15-win seasons. I mean, they had playoff spots locked up 3 weeks, 4 weeks left in the regular season.
Consider what Don Matthews has been through in the last few years. Last year, wins a Grey Cup. The year before, wins a Grey Cup. The year before that, in '94 with Baltimore, goes to the Grey Cup and loses a close one to BC. And the year before that, 1993, the last time he wasn't in a Grey Cup with a team that still had a winning record. If they lose tonight, they're 9-9, and he has not had a team without a winning record since 1992. Your Saskatchewan Roughriders was finished up 9-9. Dropped by Dwayne Demetrician. It's been that kind of night overall for the Argos on 2nd and 10, and they'll be punting again.
Yeah, and I don't want to give the wrong impression here, though, is that Don Matthews will put a game plan together for the semifinal that will be as good as any in the game. I guarantee you he is one of the best at week-to-week game planning for the upcoming opponent in the history of this game, and that's why he's the winningest coach in the game. So I am not ruling out the Toronto Argonauts. I don't think it's the same as Saskatchewan last year, but they do have Kerwin Bell, who has thrown well this year. They have Daryl Mitchell as a receiver. They got a good defense. I mean, this is a defense that can rank anywhere in the top third at any given day. Don Matthews will come up with a game plan, and they're not out of it.
This is the last play of the quarter as the ball goes out of bounds on the kick by Noel Prefontaine. More time off the clock. More points on the board for Winnipeg, now leading by 21 to Adidas Friday Night Football Control.
You're watching Adidas Friday Night Football, and we're at the quarter.
Well, full credit to the Bombers who have put it together, albeit 18 weeks too late. But as for the Argos, meaningless or not, this has been a nightmare. The guys talked about 2 things they had to do: win for momentum and run the ball and establish a running game for the playoffs. Guys, they have done neither.
Well, I'm just shocked, James. This is just a total meltdown. Toronto can't run the football. They can't stop the football. I mean, they can't stop the run either. And this is the third consecutive week that they just look absolutely awful. And Don Matthews doesn't seem to show the ability to get it corrected. You know, Rod said something about Don being in the Grey Cup the last 4 years. There's no question about that. But he's had vastly superior football teams the last 4 years. Tonight, this looks like a very, very average football team.
Well, I have to agree with you. They do look average. But on the other hand, you got to like what Winnipeg's been able to do. And really, you know, it's the last game of the season, 18th game of the season. Winnipeg has shown a nice character trait of playing hard game in and game out. They have a collection of about 5, 6, 7 football players you can build in. I like the kid Walker, quarterback. They got the 2 receivers in Stiegel and Mitch running. I think they're going to hang on and play well. Defensively, I think Maurice Kelly's one of the better hard-hitting safeties there is. I like Joe Fleming. The offensive line needs maybe one more player or a little bit more continuity, and they'll do fine. And I really like Eric Blunt. He's been a really effective running back. Hey, let's congratulate them. They're playing well. They're playing good physical football, and they've played hard through the whole year. That is a key ingredient to success, is the ability to play with intensity game in and game out, James.
And I suppose the question for the Argos, when do you get Kerwin Bell out of there, not risk an injury and really ruin your playoff hopes at this point? 15 minutes to go in this one. The Bombers in complete control over the Argos. Let's send it back to Winnipeg for fourth quarter action. Here once again are Rod and Glenn.
All right, thank you very much, James. And joined now with someone who doesn't need an introduction in Winnipeg for sure. Real celebrity here, Joe Pop. Joe Poplawski, one of the outstanding receivers in the history of the Winnipeg Blue Bomber franchise, and also a radio analyst with the local radio coverage here for the Blue Bombers. And so we've done a little bit of a switch and sent Glenn Suter over with Bob Irving. So you're going to join me for a little while. Welcome, and tell me your impressions of the game here tonight.
Well, what a surprise. I mean, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, obviously, with the 2-15 record, you don't expect this type of performance against a playoff-bound Toronto Argonaut team.
Bombers start the fourth quarter with the football, and it's complete to Mitch running. Having another good game, Jay Walker. Jay Walker, we saw the case with Troy Kopp just about a month ago when it looked like maybe he'd be the savior, and now Troy Kopp is out of the mix.
There's been some nice additions to this offense. Mitch running, obviously, Milt Stiegel coming back. Unfortunately, other individuals like Sean Millington, the offense just hasn't panned out in his favor.
What do you think of Jay Walker so far?
He looks outstanding. I mean, he's got so many great physical attributes. The biggest surprise is his ability to run with the football.
And he's been throwing it well as well. And completes yet another one to Eric Blunt. First down, Winnipeg. They're moving the sticks again inside the Argo 50. And they're leading by 21 points and no sign of let-up. Sorry, I was just going to say, you've seen some better days with this organization, playing from 78 and winning a Grey Cup in 84. This must be frustrating to see.
Everybody was so excited during the offseason, Rod. The fans and, of course, the players expected that they were going to be playoff-bound. Unfortunately, the offensive system, the quarterback situation, all sorts of controversy with the coaching situation as well. But I think the better years are just shortly around the corner, Rod.
Let's hope so. Great fans here in Winnipeg, and a lot of them out tonight. And another completed pass. Spencer McLennan with it. Jay Walker just continues to impress, moving this football. But the Grey Cup is coming. Just 23 days away. 1-888-473-9287. Still tickets available. And more seating added, up to about 43,000 here at Winnipeg Stadium. You sense some excitement about the big game coming, even with the Bombers no shot at being there?
You know, the controversy, if there is a controversy leading up to this Grey Cup, is the fact that there are 6 teams that really have an opportunity to make it towards a Grey Cup. So perhaps there's a little bit of lack of interest right now, Rod, simply because nobody knows who's the front runner and who's going to be playing in the Grey Cup game. But I think once that first round of playoffs takes place, I think we're going to see a little bit more interest here. And, you know, a couple of years back in 1991, we had the additional seats, and it ended up resulting in the high 40s, low 50s as far as the number of people that could attend the Grey Cup game. But this year, the seating capacity is going to be 42,000. I think it's going to make it for a little bit more of a cozier type of environment. I'm looking forward to the game. It should be exciting.
Well, the park looks in great shape, and the new seating, it really does make it look quite nice. And hopefully they will fill this thing right up. Passing on 2nd and inches into the end zone and knocked away there. The Argos batted away.
One of the few times that Jay Walker has made the bad decision. He's got that great arm. He's relying upon that arm, and really there was excellent coverage on the wide side of the field, the offensive left side. Adrian Smith executing it, almost picking up his 3rd interception of the year. Geez, I need my cheat sheet, Rod. I didn't bring it along with me. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Oh, you've got it nailed down. You've been up in the booth now for a while after a great 9-year playing career. And in a moment, I want to ask you about the Argos in addition to the Bombers. So it was 3rd and short. They wasted a play, if you want to call it that, trying for the end zone, knowing they had one more down to get the first. And Walker keeps it, and they do move the sticks again. So the Winnipeg drive continues. Well, first of all, about Winnipeg's situation, you talk about their future. What, in addition to the obvious front office things that are going to be dealt with on the field, what needs to be done?
Well, I think that you're going to be looking at least 4 changes offensively. And I certainly think that there's going to be a few more changes defensively as well. I really think that they need about 8 player personnel changes. And of course, there's always been the question of the quarterback situation. Sure. Jay Walker certainly looks like he's potentially an answer.
As did Troy Kopp not long ago.
That's right.
Boy, Walker has looked great tonight, and so has Eric Blunt on the carry, and they get inside the 30. So Winnipeg leading by 21 and threatening to add more on that. Now,
Rod, in the first half, sorry to interrupt, in the first half, that same running play, that counter, was not working at all, especially in the first quarter. But with Jay Walker's ability to throw the ball downfield, he's drawing the defense up, and that certainly is allowing that counter play to Eric Blunt to be successful in the second half.
It sets up about a 2nd and 5. Ball spotted at the Argo 29, easily within range. Westwood hitting another 3. The clock ticking here in the 4th quarter. No reason to think the Bombers are going to let up at all. Out of trouble. Walker gets there and throws it. Incomplete this time. So it'll be 3rd and 5. So Westwood will indeed be coming out again.
Again, another example of Jay Walker's number 1, his quickness, his ability to avoid the pressure coming from the Argo defensive line, but also that great gun that he possesses. With the pressure coming, flushing him out of the pocket, he's able to off balance, throw the ball. Unfortunately, the wide receiver, I think it was Spencer McLennan on that side, not able to quite find the handle.
29 yards away. I would be remiss with you here not mentioning a couple of things. Outstanding Canadian in the '84 Grey Cup when you beat Hamilton, and also going in this year, speaking of Hamilton, into the Hall of Fame.
Thank you.
Congratulations, and that must be a thrill.
You know, Rod, I've got 3 young boys, 13, 12, and 9, and it's one of the few times that I remember that they treated me as if I was their idol instead of their father.
Joe, this has been a treat. Winnipeg adding 3 on the board. Thanks for coming and joining with us now.
Rod, I really appreciate it.
Joe Poplawski. Winnipeg adds 3 more on the board to lead it 29-5 on Adidas Friday Night Football.
Play Safeway's $1 Million Touchdown to Win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you have won the Minolta DimagePic digital still camera with built-in flash, 1.8-inch color LCD monitor, and 64-image storage. A great way to break into the world of digital photography. DimagePic from Minolta. It's great fun. Or a set of Revere Pro Line cookware from Corning. Designed for durability and a lifetime of use. Retains moisture, flavor, and nutrients while cooking. Corningware, a balance of practicality and performance. Enter your ballot at your local Safeway Food and Drug today.
No one can match their numbers. No one else has the tools to keep your Toyota running its absolute best. For the finest care, see only your Toyota retailer. Toyota Quality Service, the one to trust.
One day in the town of Mess, a neat thought struck Mr. Hutch. It's time to get organized. I think I'll use a Brother P-Touch. So from room to room he went, labeling on the run. Files, videotapes. This is not work, it's fun. Fine wine, nails, so very much. There was no end to what could be P-Touched. For P-Touch labeling caught on street after street. And now the town of Mess is simply the town of meat.
Available at these retailers and other fine stores.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Winnipeg. Notice my lips didn't even move there once.
Rod, come back up here.
All righty. I got to take this hat off, though. Yes, out trick-or-treating tomorrow. Wow, no treat there for Kerwin Bell. This whole game has been anything but a treat for him as he loses the ball under pressure from Tyrone Rogers again. And the Argos get it back, but still, it's been that kind of night.
And he'll be back to the drawing board for that man, Don Matthews. So how did it go with the receiver?
It went very well with Joe Poplawski, and I meant to ask you, you guys must have had some run-ins on the field, Saskatchewan, Winnipeg?
Yeah, we had a few. We locked face masks a couple of times, but well, he was a good one. I went over there on the radio. We talked all defense. Was he talking all offense over here?
Oh yeah, pretty much. He's breaking down the Bomber offense.
Yeah, okay.
The way the Bombers offense has gone tonight, he's had a lot to talk about. This defense has something to say to them. Kerwin Bell under pressure again. Taken down Grant Carter. Big loss down to the Argo 21.
Well, Kerwin Bell was late getting up, and you wonder if he was a little bit banged up on that play. Grant Carter kind of threw him around like a rag doll there.
And for Grant Carter, 2 sacks on the night, the 4th for Winnipeg as a team, and that's 8 on the year for Carter. This Winnipeg team in general is going out in style after what has been an abysmal year. They did not want to tie Hamilton for the most losses in a single season set by the Cats last year, and right now it doesn't look like they'll have to worry about it. More pressure again on Kerwin Bell, and that one was on 2nd down. Taken down again. And Don Matthews does not have a whole lot to cheer about.
Well,
his team will be punting again.
He's frustrated because on the Grant Carter sack, the Bombers went with a little bit of pressure, a stunt up front, sending 4-5 on the play. This time, Joe Fleming's sack comes when they rush just 3. So it's 5 offensive linemen for Toronto and Kerwin Bell against 3 defensive linemen for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. But no one is open downfield. Bell has to hang on to the football, and Joe Fleming finally gets there.
As you look at Eric Blunt standing back to get this punt. And Noel Prefontaine. Oh, beautiful punt. It looks like a pass. Nice spiral that chases Blunt down inside the 35. Nice block by Brandon Hamilton to spring Blunt. Gets up near midfield. Bombers in business again. And there is a flag down in the play, although it is closer to where the Argos were scrimmaging before than the site of where the punt was taken on the return.
Nick Ferguson and Byron Capers were fighting behind the play the whole time. Eric Blunt was returning that kick. Nick Ferguson was in charge of blocking Byron Capers, and they were in a fist fight behind the line.
Toronto, number 16, unnecessary roughness, 1st down Winnipeg.
Byron Capers is going to get the call because he retaliated. What happened was Nick Ferguson was all over Capers. He wasn't allowed off the line of scrimmage, had him pinned. When he got up and started running, Capers got up from behind him and started swinging. That's why he got the retaliation, and Gary Hoffman's troops get the yardage.
So it's down to the 42, 1st and 10 Blue Bombers, already up 29-5, looking for more. That one is overthrown by Jay Walker. Intended for Spencer McLennan. Now the game story, and mostly Winnipeg tonight, it's brought to you by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. Great steaks, good times. See it tonight. And tonight it was Kerwin Bell.
You know, he looked down that list. Jay Walker, of course, with the big night, like you mentioned, Ron. But Daryl Mitchell, we have to give credit where credit is due. And Daryl Mitchell needs 24 to get 2,000. Reggie Carthon has done a real nice job in coverage on Daryl Mitchell all night.
Off the draw. Eric Blunt with the football. They can afford to keep it on the ground and just let the clock tick down. It's under 10 minutes, down to about 9:03 to go. So Troy Westwood will come out and try another field goal and try to put Winnipeg into the 30s.
We heard Eric Tillman talking about the report out of Montreal that Dave Ritchie and he will be here. Gary Hoffman probably put his name in the hat. I know he knows Eric Tillman as well. And Be interesting to see how it develops here in the offseason.
They'd like what they'd see tonight. Winnipeg had scored on 4 straight drives, this one going wide to the right by Westwood. And the return by Adrian Smith with flags down on the field. A big return out across the 30 to the 33. See what happens with these flags now. Westwood made it 5 for 7 in the field goal department. Missed it badly to the right that time.
You know, when they played the Edmonton Eskimos here a couple of weeks back, Troy Westwood got hit by Rob Brown, and he was out cold and out of the game. I'm surprised that he even bounced back from that hit and is playing here tonight. I have never seen
lost his helmet.
Knocked his helmet right off. He was out cold.
Holding Toronto, number 16. First down.
Byron Capers called on the penalty again. Just another play and an ugly evening for Don Matthews and the Argonauts here in the 4th quarter.
Hope you're enjoying Adidas Friday Night Football. Reminder, Darren Tish and I have got Sports Desk coming up right after the football game. We got some news for you. Cart FedEx has announced today that Paul Tracy will be suspended for the first race of next season's Cart Series, that event being in Homestead, Florida. Why, you ask? Well, Wally Dallenbach, Cart's chief steward, cited Tracy for unjustifiable and unsportsmanlike conduct in the aftermath of an incident during the Honda Indy race in Australia on October the 18th. Tracy was already on probation following an unjustifiable risk at the June 7th race in Detroit. But Dallenbach said Tracy will be allowed to race in Sunday's season-ending event at the Marlboro 500. It's a race you can see live here on TSN, starting at 3:30 Eastern, 12:30 Pacific time. Incidentally, Paul Tracy was the 7th fastest in practice today. Greg Moore, the 3rd fastest. Adrian Fernandez was the fastest in today's practice. Reminder, Sports Desk coming up right after the football game, so stay with us.
A cough or sore throat? Aren't you glad you have friends like Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges? They even make nasal passages feel clearer. So try Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges with over 100 years of effectiveness.
One day, you'll tell your kids that you used to get on the internet through a phone line. Welcome to Rogers at Home, the internet on cable.
Kerwin Bell is out of this football game. The backup Jay Barker is in, and a look at his numbers in 1998. Glenn, he was busy at the start of the season when Bell was injured.
He did a nice job winning some games for the Argos early in the year when Bell was hurt. And Kerwin Bell is on the sideline, but he doesn't have some good memories of this one.
And right from the first play, a little disorganization there. And it is just thrown away out of bounds on first down.
Well, I mentioned how Daryl Mitchell has really struggled to get close to his 2,000. He's had Reggie Carthon in his back pocket all game long. And, of course, Carthon almost went in the huddle with him on that last exchange. Reggie Carthon was accused of not playing because he was upset with the release of Jeff Reinbold. He had an injured back, but some said that he wasn't injured. He just didn't want to play.
He's wrapped up in the end zone. The ball came loose. And more tensions flare as they are calling a safety. They call it a sack. He wasn't put right down, but he was wrapped up. Joe Fleming, 2 more points on the board for Winnipeg.
Joe Fleming's going to get home. Jay Barker really has nowhere to throw the football because downfield, Reggie Carthon, who, by the way, would never not play. If he was hurt, he was hurt, was covering up the receivers, and Daryl Mitchell again. Barker had nowhere to go, and down he goes.
And Jay Barker getting a taste at what Kerwin Bell has had to go through much of this game. Looking at Joe Fleming, 3rd in the CFL in sacks. What a great year he has had, former BC Lion.
He's had a great season, and when I talked to him, I said, I guess you're in some ways relieved that it's all over. And he said, you know what, surprisingly, I'm really disappointed that it's coming to an end tonight. He said, you know, I'd love to play 4 or 5 more games. Obviously, they want to be in the playoffs, but he's not ready to stop playing football. And a lot of teams in the NFL have talked to him, but he said he wants to come back to Winnipeg because he simply said he wants to win here. He said the fans are so dedicated here in Winnipeg. I would love to see how they would react if we could come up with a winning season for him.
Well, last season, his year came to an end in the playoffs. He got one more game out of the deal with BC, losing to the Montreal Alouettes at Molson Stadium, which is destination for his opponent tonight, the Toronto Argonauts. Based on the way it's gone tonight, maybe it's the Alouettes looking forward to the Argos coming to town. On the reverse, on the return, Eric Blunt with the ball over about the 35-yard line. Adrian Smith escorts him out of bounds. But Joe Fleming, one of the nominees as top defensive player in the Canadian Football League in 1998.
You know, it's interesting when you look at that list. Alondra Johnson, who has finally got out of the shadow of Willie Pless. Willie Pless obviously not on that list for the Edmonton Eskimos. Malvin Hunter gets the nod there. But Alondra Johnson finally gets out of the shadow of Willie Pless, and he's going to be up against likely Joe Mumford out of the East.
And that's pretty tough.
That's tough competition.
Joe Fleming having a great year as well, and Grant Carter. But yeah, the sacks leader Montford with 21 heading into this final week. That will be tough competition for Alondra Johnson. Should he represent the West? Outstanding defensive player. Eric Blunt still on his feet across midfield and finally written out of bounds. Close to the 50-yard line. Argos. Eric Blunt having an outstanding game tonight.
Now, and I'm by no means ruling out those other nominees, just for the record.
Absolutely.
Because they're all watching, I'm sure. But, hey, talk about a nominee. Eric Blunt, the nominee for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and he has done this all season. Kickoff returns, punt returns, a little bit out of the backfield, but Eric Blunt has made a statement this year that his career is far from over.
Has he ever? A real bright spot in a team that has not had many this year. Eric Blunt with the football again. Being chased in behind. Lost yardage this time for Winnipeg.
Well, this game is always won and lost in the trenches, and there's outstanding offensive lineman nominees this year in the CFL. I would think out of the West, Big Fred Childress has to be a front runner. Mo Elwanibi had a good second half.
And he has a touchdown.
And he has a touchdown. And then in the East, I mean, talk about Carl Coulter's done a nice job in Hamilton. And when you think about what Mike Pringle's done, it's hard to not consider someone from the O-line, the Montreal Alouettes, Zumo KK.
KK back in the Baltimore days when Pringle was racking up the yardage there when Don Matthews was coaching them. And you did notice one of the nominees for Toronto, Willie Williams, and not to make excuses for the Argos tonight because they've had a number of holes to fill, but Willie Williams absent from this game and will be back for the playoff game. As far as the rookies go, looking at Jermaine Haley, the Argo representative.
Mitch Ring from Winnipeg. Baron Miles had a real nice season with the Montreal Alouettes. Mario Smith, of course, the second safety for Saskatchewan Roughriders. But this one, and I'm going to go way out on a limb here, like, a foot on the limb. Steve Muhammad wins this one.
Steve Muhammad, from start to finish, an outstanding year, 10 interceptions. And, you know, he'd have more competition if Mitch Running had played a full season, or Mario Smith.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mitch Running has looked great here in Winnipeg, but just coming in after the midway point of the year. Timeout called by Bob Cameron. A little confusion there for the Bombers. Bob Cameron, the nominee from the Blue Bombers for Outstanding Canadian. Another award to be handed out in Grey Cup week.
Dave Chaters, a great season with the BC Lions, along with Johnny Scott, who is also a nominee. But Mike Morreale has had an outstanding year, and one of my highlight plays this year.
Speaking of Mario Smith.
Was, yeah, absolutely, when Mike Morreale against Saskatchewan on 2nd and 21 in the game-winning drive catches a 22-yard post pattern, gets hit by Mario Smith, and hangs onto the football. One of my favorite plays this season.
And the Morreale, it's all just hearsay. I don't think he knew about it until he got to see it on a replay maybe a few days later. Still waiting to get this punt off after Bob Cameron called time, and now they're still not ready to get it done.
27, still third down.
After a procedure call going against the Blue Bombers.
You know, when we looked at that Canadian list, too, another guy that's really had a good season quietly is Kelly Wiltshire. I mean, Kelly Wiltshire has had a real solid season. He leads the Argos in tackles, and he plays beside Michael O'Shea. Kelly Wiltshire is a player.
Finally, they get this punt away. Cameron from the 45, Winnipeg. And on the hop, Lester Smith. Still going. Lester Smith finds some open ground to midfield and beyond. Lester Smith takes it all the way back to the Winnipeg 46. And Cameron had kicked it from his 40. This is Friday Night Football on TSN.
We both have colds. Why is he upping at him? And I'm so tired and cranky and headachy, I can't even get started. Why? Because last night when he said...
Let's take NyQuil so we can feel better in the morning.
I said, why? What's the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, achy, stuffy head fever so you could rest medicine got to do with morning, silly? He took it. I took these. He got rest. I didn't. Why?
Vicks NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, stuffy head fever so you can feel better the next morning medicine.
CFL football is one tough game. Touch football is one fun game. Football Canada and Football Ontario invite you to have some fun. Join one of the many adult touch football leagues across Canada. The Canadian Football League, along with Molson Canadians, support their efforts. Call Football Canada or Football Ontario and get in the game.
The Dodge Durango features a third bench and the most spacious interior in its class. And the same passenger and cargo carrying capability of larger sport utility vehicles, but in a smaller, more manageable size. Because aren't sport utility vehicles supposed to take you anywhere?
This is the focal point, the championship game in the CFL. Grey Cup week 3 weeks away. If you need a ticket, 1-888-473-9287. Some counting on the Hamilton Tiger Cats being here.
And the Grey Cup is right here.
Out of the shotgun, Jay Barker. And completes the pass. A completion for Barker. And that's Andrew English on that one. Yeah, Glenn Suter will be here in Winnipeg for the Grey Cup. So, too, will the gentlemen back in our control studio, James Duthie, Eric Tillman, and Chris Schultz, who join us now. Hi, guys.
Hey, Rod, how are you?
What's your impression of this one so far? I know you've been voicing it at quarter time and at the half as well, but not looking too good for Mr. Schultz's former team, the Argonauts.
No, not really, and I think you have to look at it on what their goals were at the beginning of the game, and it really was to try to get some continuity in the running game, to try to get Nigel Williams back in the offense, get him some confidence in terms of catching the football, maybe to get Daryl Mitchell in space and get him a big play, and they really haven't accomplished any. But I'll tell you what, I do agree with Glenn. Matthews will do a good job preparing this team. It'll come down to 1 or 2 big plays in the Montreal game at Montreal. If they can run defend, they still have a shot in that game. Whatever happens this week does not necessarily influence what happens in the playoff week that much. A little bit, but not a hell of a lot.
Well, I know you guys were talking about getting the confidence for Kerwin Bell, and now Jay Barker in and running for that first down, but certainly didn't work out for Bell at all tonight.
It's just really been a tough night for the whole Toronto offense. As Chris said, they wanted to come in and try to establish the run. They want to get momentum for the playoffs, and they've really done neither. I mean, this is a team that offensively has been in total disarray for the last few weeks, and defensively, they've given up now almost 120 points in the last 3 quarters. Are they good enough to still win the Grey Cup? There's no question about the athletes. But this team right now, I think, has really lost its focus and its direction. It's going to be a real challenge for them to get it back in the road.
Now, Eric, I have a question. Now, let's just take a hypothetical here. Hypothetically, Eric Tillman is the new GM.
Here we go, Eric.
Of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I mean, what have you seen from that side of the field as far as guys that may be here next year?
Well, Glenn, I think the most important thing we've all seen tonight is that this football team has character. You know, with their record this year going into Week 18, they could have just shown up tonight and gone through the emotions, but they played hard, and that says a lot about them. And I think it says a lot about Gary Hoffman and this coaching staff. This game was important to them. They've come out and they've responded, and they've really taken it to the Argonauts tonight.
And this is more bad news for Toronto. Nigel Williams still down on the field after that last catch. He got hit by Maurice Kelly. And Jay Barker, backup quarterback, was also limping after the play. Now, he seems to be okay. He's sort of limping around trying to shake it off. But Don Matthews can ill afford to lose Nigel Williams or his backup quarterback even heading into the playoffs.
Chris, the last time the Argos won a game 3 weeks ago, it happened to be at Molson Stadium, beating the Alouettes. I mean, if they're searching for anything to give them some confidence going back there, could that be it?
Well, I think so. I mean, sometimes when you do have success at one particular home, you get a good feeling going back in there. But it really depends in the playoffs up to the players in a couple areas. Number one, how mentally prepared are they? Have they watched the extra film? Do they know the details of the game? And then the state of mind going into the first quarter. And that's why I like the Argonauts' chances, because if they can play well in that first-round playoff game in the first quarter, they'll have a great shot. Remember, they don't have Willie Williams, and they don't have Michael Clements. Michael Clements offers such a huge amount of flexibility on that offensive system, and his ability in second effort to get that critical first down can't be underestimated. I give him a shot. Now, will they win? Hey, we got to talk to Dave Ritchie and all those Montreal Alouette players, because they'll be ready to go.
And what about the defensive side of the ball, Eric? I mean, they're going to face Mike Pringle in the first round of the playoffs. He is on a roll, obviously, and they haven't done a very good job tonight stopping Eric Blunt against the run.
Well, you know, they've made a little deviation tonight playing Glenn Young, but basically they played 7 DBs all year, Glenn, as you know, and they've not been able to stop the run. Last time they played both Hamilton and in Montreal, it basically was big guy on big guy up front. They got Pringle and Williams isolated on those linebackers, and they couldn't stop them. You know, Don Matthews has a real coaching challenge right now, and he's going to have to go to the drawing board and I think review some of the things they're doing defensively. As I said earlier, you give up 120 points in 3 games, you've got some problems.
First and goal, Argonauts. Down around the 7-yard line. Barker still in and working out of the shotgun. Into the end zone. Touchdown. Andre Batson, product of York University. That's his second catch of the year, and the other catch was in BC for a touchdown way back in July the 15th.
Not a bad average. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. A good read and a good throw by Jay Barker. He had to shake off an injury from the previous play. A little half roll to his left, and then throws a strike in between Brad Elberg, and I believe it's Nick Ferguson over there as well. And Batson comes up with the touchdown, but see how Elberg slipped a little bit trying to break on it, too.
You can get a lot of receivers that catch a lot of footballs and never get into the end zone, and this guy's caught 2 in his CFL career, and both of them for majors.
He's laughing about it on the sideline. I'm 2 for 2.
And Eric Bigos, who had a rough night in the field goal department, does punch this one through. So finally, a touchdown for the Toronto Argonauts, but still down big time, 31-12.
Eric Bigos just needs some broom ball shoes. He'd have been okay early in the game if he had the broom ball shoes. If he made a mental note, because likely be cold in Montreal. That's artificial turf at Molson Stadium. Could get slick.
It's a third-place team, and as we showed you earlier, the numbers don't favor third-place teams, especially for the Argos. They've never finished third and gone on to play in the Grey Cup, but teams have. The Saskatchewan Roughriders in 1989, a team you played for, finished third, had to go on the road and pull off the upsets, and ultimately won the Grey Cup over Hamilton. And then Saskatchewan again last year didn't win the big one against Matthews and the Argos, but did get there to the surprise of many because of the way they played in their last game of the regular season here in Winnipeg.
Yeah, you don't become the all-time winningest coach in CFL history unless you know how to game plan, and that man will be ready for the first round of the playoffs and have his team ready.
So Bigos with the kickoff and Blunt with the football. Eric Blunt had a great night in all departments. Catching, running, and returning, gets it up to the Winnipeg 50. He was far and away the combined yardage leader coming into this game, way ahead of Mike Pringle. 34.98 is total, just shy of 3,500 yards. And 296 combined yards tonight. Wow.
And he just passed Mike Clements, who set the all-purpose record last year. He needs
73 yards. Actually, even less than that now as you continue to rack him up on the return. But remarkable production for Eric Blunt tonight. 46 yards, I'm told now, that Blunt needs, as he is tackled, though, in behind, so lost yardage. So it's going to fluctuate.
So that's not good for the total.
No, that puts it back up again. But Pinball Clements, who broke his own record that he set back in 1990 and doing again last year, as we just showed you. And what a remarkable night for Eric Blunt.
Well, what they need to do, if they want to get him the record, put him out at the wideout or something and just have him run deep. Hopefully he catches a deep one for you, because all-purpose yards doesn't matter where you get it. Return game, handoffs.
3 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Jay Walker off on the sideline. Winnipeg with the football and a big lead.
Hello. Yeah, just a sec.
Hold on.
Daddy?
It's for you.
Giga-ring.
You expect to drive your Toyota for a long time. But servicing is key. Some mechanics know a little bit of this and a little bit of that. But a little bit of knowledge can be a dangerous thing. Only Toyota Quality Service guarantees the work is done right by the time promised at the price quoted. They've even put their name on it. Just look for this Quality Service pledge only at your Toyota retailer.
Toyota Quality Service, the one to trust.
Stay tuned following this game for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Super 8 Motels. Life is great at Super 8.
We deliver great quality, time after time.
Same with Super 8.
Every room is comfortable. And roomy.
Super 8.
Super 8. Life's great at Super 8.
Back in Winnipeg, it's our final telecast, ending the CFL season here in Winnipeg, where it ultimately will come to an end. But just like to take the time to thank a lot of people who have made this possible, and I know you feel the same way, and a great job that you have done being involved with just about every telecast we had this year.
Well, it's been a lot of fun, but we should thank a lot of people like you mentioned, Rod. Today, working the game, John Hines is our producer. Paul Hemming is the director. Paul McLean also produces a lot of the games.
Rick Chisholm, our supervising producer, and a lot of talented people that you don't see to make all this possible.
Absolutely. And our stats guys, Dave Moyer and George Cootie, do a great job of providing us with statistics in this. There's a ton of technical people and cameramen, and those are the guys who are out there in the pouring rain sometimes getting the good shots. There's a lot of people involved, and I think, you know, what a lot of people don't realize is all the time and effort that goes into a telecast like this. I'm still amazed. This is my 4th year in the business, and I am still amazed at how much time goes into it. And I think what I enjoy most about it is that everyone in our crew, to a person, loves the CFL. So it's always great to show up to work, and everyone wants to do the little extra to make it, you know, the game look great and be presented professionally. So thanks to a whole lot of people that make it happen.
And to you in the studio as well, you guys, a great job.
Yeah, they did a very nice job in the studio all year.
Lester Smith in the punt return, and is not going anywhere. Wrapped up, taken down. Clock showing 2:38.
Of course, I got it. You as well, Rod, John Wells, and of course Gord Miller, who early in the year did a lot of the play-by-play as well. And it's always fun working with you guys. We have as much fun off camera, I think, as we do on camera. It's a great experience.
Absolutely. You had one stretch where you worked with 3 different play-by-play guys. Gord one night, then me the next, and then John the next, and you never got our names wrong or anything. So kudos to you.
And of course, Lee Pedersen, who did a lot of the games early in the.
Absolutely.
Hey, come on!
The season of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers is winding down, but like they did last year, they're going out in style. 2:37 to go. Another penalty called on Jay Barker, that penalty that time.
When you think of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, all you have to really compare it to is the Hamilton Tiger Cats. Last year, 2-16. This year, front runners to win it all. The differences, Ron Lancaster, Darren Flutie, Danny McManus. Other than that, it is basically the same football team.
You know, that's interesting because Hamilton had a good defensive core. Players like Orlando Steinhauer and also, of course, Joe Montford this year and Eric Carter. And you look at Winnipeg's defense, and they have an impressive unit as well, I think. A few changes, I think they could be one of the strongest defenses in the CFL.
Maurice Kelly, Joe Fleming. I mean, there's personnel in this Winnipeg team that you can win with, and you can win it all with. But they need a little tweaking. They need a couple players. They need a veteran quarterback, a couple more Canadians to help out in the ratio. They'll be all right.
That pass completed up across the 50-yard line for Barker. The East Division standings, assuming, as I think it is safe to do now, an Argonaut loss. They fall to 9-9. And Montreal, well, still with a game to play, of course, against the Hamilton Tiger Cats. But Winnipeg at 3-15 and avoids the I guess what would be humiliating and having to share 16 losses with Hamilton last year. We talked about how the Ticats turned things around despite those 16 losses. And what we will not have, despite the resurgence in the East, is 3 teams with winning records. The last time that happened, you got to go way, way back, 25 years ago. Well, Daryl Mitchell adds to his total, but certainly the record, the Alan Pitts record, does look way out of reach, barring a major completion and run.
Well, when you look at the standings, yes, Toronto struggled down the stretch. Chris Schultz talked about the fact that you cannot see Mitchell needs just 13 yards receiving to hit 2,000. He's still a ways from Pitts, but this Argo team will be ready to play in the playoffs, and I think Dave Ritchie is watching this. He knows that. The nice thing about this year is we head into the playoffs, it is really anybody's game. It's 1 or 2 plays, a couple of bounces, and you win a football game. The last couple of years with Doug Flutie and the Argo dominance, it was a different story. Not this year. All 6 teams have a very legitimate chance to win it all, which will make for some exciting playoff football.
Absolutely. The Argos definitely were the class of the CFL last year and the year before, despite a very, very close Grey Cup against Edmonton in '96. But I'd agree. I mean, you know, the Eskimos and the Argos would appear like the teams that are going in weaker compared to the other 4. But, yeah, anything can happen, and you do have a lot of balance. It is a tough one to call. That other shotgun is Barker. He completed one before. That one is nearly intercepted by Reggie Carthon. And had a great game tonight.
Well, he really did. I think he silenced some critics here in Winnipeg over the last 2 weeks, especially here tonight. His job was to cover Daryl Mitchell, and hey, even when you get help from your safety, that's a tough job at the best of times. And Reggie Carthon has done a real nice job, and I know a little bit about Reggie Carthon, his background. I guarantee you, he did not sit out of a game and fake an injury. No way.
On second down, 2:17 on the clock. Jay Barker, flag on the play, just thrown. Has his man, has a touchdown. Oh, you're kidding me.
Yeah.
Andre Batson again, although this time I think it's going to be called back. It will be coming back, and denies Andre Batson of going 3 for 3 with 3 touchdowns in his career.
Holding, Toronto, number 62, second down repeated.
Wow.
So maybe Andre Batson, the rookie, will have something to say to Dwayne Morgan anyway.
Yeah. Well, you know what he's going to say. He's going to come back to the huddle and say, listen, if you need a touchdown,
just throw it to me.
Just throw me the ball. Pretty simple.
Part of the York University program under Tommy Arnott. The years in the mid-90s, it was really had a tough time losing a number of games, and part of a program that really turned around. York becoming a winning team. Batson was a part of that. But of the shotgun. Oh, he's hit. Barker's hit. Barker's down. How's that for a turn of events? From touchdown to getting buried back at midfield. Need you say more? With the Argos trailing and just about 2 minutes to go on the clock. This is all Winnipeg.
Well, you know, it's kind of poetic justice for a couple players in the Bombers. Maurice Kelly is one of them. He got the sack on the last play. Joe Fleming has had a good game tonight and got a couple sacks. And Reggie Carthon, Brandon Hamilton, both playing well in the secondary. That has been the heart and soul of this defense, and they're getting a little payday here tonight because they've got some stats to add to a pretty good effort throughout the season.
You listen to the names that we mentioned. Kelly, Fleming, Brandon Hamilton, Reggie Carthon, all former BC Lions brought in by Jeff Reinbold. Reinbold no longer here, but maybe if this Winnipeg team is to turn around, that's a legacy for him. Some of the finer players on this team, ex-BC Lions. Eric Blunt looking to add to that combined total. Needed 50. And on this punt return, gets it up to about the 27-yard line. And today's recipient of the Toyota game ball goes to Jay Walker. Threw for a couple of touchdowns, but changed the whole momentum and energy of this football game.
Really did. Showed some great poise in the pocket, made good decisions, read the defense well. Likely only has a small number of plays to choose from, but executed them well, and he deserves the game ball and the win here for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and maybe some hope for the fans here that they have a quarterback of the future in Jay Walker.
The Toyota game ball brought to you by Toyota Parts and Service, Toyota Quality Service, the one to trust. And Jay Walker with a flag going down and throws it. I guess the closest guy would have been Joe Fleming, out of bounds.
Trying to get the ball down and out down the sidelines. Eric Blunt.
I saw Joe Fleming standing on the sideline with his helmet in hand, and I didn't see Eric Blunt lying down in front of him.
I think they're trying to get him the record.
Holding, Winnipeg number 62. First down repeated.
This will be a good indication right here.
Needs 34 yards.
Well,
they just crossed 3,800. Sorry.
Just send out Travis Anderson. If Eric Blunt's the guy to come, no, he's not. He's staying in the huddle. I was going to say if Travis Anderson comes on for Eric Blunt, then they're not trying to get him the record. But he's still out there.
38.06, the record. Pinball Clemens is 34 more at 38.40. Blunt is given the football, as you might expect, 1:23 to go.
But he's going backwards.
Yeah, he's adding more to that 34 now, like he did before.
Well, it's been an exciting season of football. Very positive year for the Canadian Football League, both in the boardroom and on the field. We talked earlier in the pregame show about the great records that were set all year. Mike Pringle, Don Narcisse, Alan Pitts, to name a few. But it's also been a great year from the boardroom standpoint. Teams are making money again. There's still work to do, but it's going in the right direction.
Big hit by Donald Smith on Spencer McClendon on the receiving end of that one, but not nearly enough for the first down. Under a minute now to go in this one. Absolutely. I mean, a telltale sign here in Winnipeg, where they just love their football and love the Bombers. The fact that they were able to have an increase in attendance despite winning only actually three games now, including tonight.
Yeah,
that tells you something.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you consider it's on the heels of a year that they only won two the previous year. I mean, they were in the same situation. Over 33,000 here tonight for the last game of a mean-nothing game of the season, and fans have been out.
And the next time this stadium hosts a football game, it will be the big one. The 86th Grey Cup coming up Sunday, November the 22nd. Just a little more than 3 weeks away. And who will be here? It is anybody's guess. The last time they had a Grey Cup game here, it was the Toronto Argonauts, but back then they were a first-place team and got a bye to the East Final against Winnipeg before marching on to play Calgary. Much different situation for Toronto, and much different for Gary Hoffman and the Bombers, with reason to smile. A rare reason on this night.
Well, that is huge. It's his first win as the head coach here in Winnipeg, and it's a big one. It's a big one for their sanity in the offseason. We talked about it earlier, but hey, only 3 wins on the year. As long as you win the last one, at least for the next 6 months, you have something positive to think about when you're lying there pushing all those weights.
Clock at 58 seconds. Bombers to punt it away, and a short one by Cameron. Lester Smith waiting for it right at midfield, and draws the no yards, and has a good yard. I'll get it out. Has a pretty good return to boot as he gets it down to the Winnipeg 30.
The question is, how close is Daryl Mitchell? Well, there's the answer. 10 yards from 2,000.
certainly attainable in the dying seconds of the game, although, as mentioned before, he'd need another 34 beyond that in order to catch Alan Pitts, and that doesn't seem too likely. Unless Barker decides to air it out for Mitchell in one great big play.
Well, it doesn't seem like, you know, any of the Argos at this point would be thinking about anything like that when they have to consider they have a week to get ready for the biggest game of the year, the first round of the playoffs versus Montreal Alouettes. So you know that Daryl Mitchell is thinking of how he can help this offense get back on track. Don Matthews has the same thing on his mind.
Well, Don Matthews has had better days. Argos went to the Eastern Final against Montreal. It'll be the third straight year they meet the Alouettes in the playoffs, but boy, the circumstances are much different. This time a semifinal, not a final, and this time in less friendly confines. McGill University and Molson Stadium. A catch there by Andrew English again. And remember last year's Eastern Final when the Argos went in heavily favored, and although the Alouettes did have a good year, 13 wins, but how close it was. It came down to one touchdown. Alouettes were very close to knocking off Flutie and company and going to the Grey Cup themselves.
No question. And if memory serves, wasn't it Mike Clements, who is not in this game tonight but will be next week versus Montreal?
Absolutely.
How big is he?
Yep. A few missed field goals by Terry Baker in that game that was much talked about heading into this season, but sure Baker would like nothing better than to get the chance for a little redemption facing the Argos in a close game next week. Wouldn't that be something?
I guarantee you that's what he's thinking. Just give me the opportunity to win it.
Wrapped up again. Wesley Leasy, everybody's getting in on the act tonight. No let up in that Winnipeg defense at all.
Well, Jay Barker tried to get the ball to Daryl Mitchell on the play, and Mitchell was again covered downfield. He really couldn't come out of his break, but it seemed that Jay Barker just really wanted to get the ball to him. Don Matthews knows when players are close to records or to great accomplishments. I remember him talking to Dave Ridgway when he was close to a record and asked him if he wanted to attempt a long field goal. Don Matthews' first thought was to maybe punt the ball. But in that case, Dave said, no, let me give it a shot for the record. And he let him go and take that shot. He made the kick and made his record. He is aware of it. Looked to me on that last play that Jay Barker tried to get the ball to Daryl Mitchell, trying to get him his 2,000.
Mitchell was averaging up around 114 yards a game, well under that. He needed 115 to set the single season record, and as mentioned, still trying to get up to the 2,000 mark, an exclusive club in the history of the Canadian Football League. Jay Walker handing off Eric Blunt and taken down by Glenn Young. But yes, the exclusive 2,000-yard club. And Daryl Mitchell, oh, so close to getting it.
Well, you want to get it too, because seasons like this just don't come along very often. The Terry Greer in '83 and Pitts in '94. Seasons like that just don't happen every day. So when you get this close, you really want to come away with it. But Daryl Mitchell has bigger fish to fry
next week in Montreal.
That's right.
And if the Argos are going to three-peat, they have some work to do. Nice to see a smile on the face of Gary Hoffman on a long season.
Well, there'll be some interesting changes here in Winnipeg. We'll likely know a lot of them before the Grey Cup is played here as to who the new general manager is.
You think so? Before the Grey Cup?
Well, I don't know. I think they'd want to make it sooner than later.
Eric Blunt, here we go. That'll add to the combined yardage total with just 14 ticks to go until this one is in the books.
They're trying to get him the record. They want him to hurry up. There's 14 seconds left. They want to give him the ball one more time.
First down, Bombers. 16 yards to go to pass Mike Pinball Clements in the combined yardage record.
They're trying to get him the record.
Blunt stands in the backfield. Clock ticking now at 12. They hand off to Blunt, and the Argos know that's coming, but he's still on his feet, and he is out of bounds. And not getting anything there with 5 seconds to go on it. It does not appear likely that Blunt will get that one coming up shy, and Daryl Mitchell coming up shy of 2,000.
Well, he's got basically one more crack at it. 323 combined yards tonight. So close to that record held by Pinball Clemens. And he may get one more play.
19 yards away from the tie after a little bit of lost yardage there. Ball sitting on the 30.
And he's tired.
He should be. He's had a busy night. Individually, a better year than the years with the Eskimos, but obviously thinking as a team guy, not a lot of fun in 98. But Eric Blunt, the best player for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 1998, is the last one to touch the ball, or is he? 2 seconds still to go. They look on.
Well, if they're thinking all-purpose, and obviously they are, they got to get him out and run a route with him. Because I don't think he can pick it up out of the backfield.
Especially with an Argo defense knowing he's going to be the guy that's going to get the football.
He's the only guy back there. He hasn't made anything last two. Put him on as a receiver. Try and get a matchup. See if you can throw him one. He's getting a standing ovation here.
He is, and I think the team is as well. A terrible season for the Bombers ends on a high note. While the Toronto Argonauts will head into Montreal with a long road ahead if they want to win another Grey Cup and get back here to Winnipeg. For these two teams, the regular season is over, and Winnipeg takes it 31-12.
Play Safeway's $1 Million Touchdown to Win for your chance to win $1 million. If your name appears, it means you have won Fill-A-Shave with Reflex Action. It adapts comfortably to the contours of your face. Closer contact for a closer shave. Fill-A-Shave from Philips, our closest shave ever. Or the Business Navigator Personal Organizer from Casio with PC synchronization software and large 1 megabyte anti-loss memory. The BN10 packs so much power, it's like having a PC in your pocket. Enter your ballot at your local Safeway Food and Drug today.
Play the All-Star game at McDonald's.
Rangers, I gotta have a Rangers. Come on, Rangers. Wow, Leafs, I can use that. I wonder why I can't get a Rangers piece.
Collect all new NHL divisions and you could win a 1999 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo, $9,999 in cash, a trip to the NHL All-Star game, or even a visit with Wayne Gretzky.
Hey, what do you know? I got the Rangers again.
We both have colds. Why is he up and at him? And I'm so tired and cranky and headachy, I can't even get started. Why? Because last night when he said...
Let's take NyQuil so we can feel better in the morning.
I said, why? What's the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, achy, stuffy head fever, so you could rest medicine got to do with morning, silly? He took it. I took these. He got rest. I didn't. Why?
Vicks NyQuil, the nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, stuffy head fever, so you can feel better the next morning medicine.
Joey, I know I can count on you. I know I can count on you.
Dad!
FedEx. Be absolutely sure.
Time now for the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Super 8 Motels.
Milt Stegall, 1 of 2 touchdowns on the evening. Great move right here on Marcelo Simmons to avoid the jam, go right down the seam and come up with the catch. and a little second effort to get into the end zone and, more importantly, get our turning point.
Yes, a cash donation will be made to the Coaching Association of Canada on behalf of TSN and Super 8 Motels. Life is great at Super 8. Well, it was a little chilly tonight, but this will warm you up. They're in the stands. Grant Carter's there after this win.
A cough or sore throat? Aren't you glad you have friends? Like Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges. They even make nasal passages feel clearer. So try Fisherman's Friend medicated lozenges with over 100 years of effectiveness.
Sexy, sleek, sophisticated, stylish. The world's smallest and lightest SLR camera. Make the scene with the Pronia S from Nikon. How decadent.
It was born of royalty, crowned in glory, and has held court over some of the fiercest battles of all time. It has witnessed moments of greatness, noble men of courage undaunted in their quest for victory. It is a living testament to the spirit of our game.
Heard it all before. So what are you gonna do? What are you gonna be? Where are you gonna fit? Work is changing. You've got a lot of good choices out there. There's a lot opening up, but it won't just happen. You got a plan. Make the right moves.
Canada's Youth Employment Strategy. For career planning info, call 1-800-935-5555. Take on your future.
Adidas Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you by Adidas, the official sponsor of the CFL. And by the Keg Steakhouse and Bar. For great steaks and good friends, see you tonight.
Welcome back. And way to go, Winnipeg. And I'm talking about the fans here. They support a bad team all season long. They come out in full force tonight, and they are rewarded a little bit, at least, with a victory, and an extra sweet victory for Gary Hoffman.
No question about it. You know, there's a little history behind this game tonight. You've got Gary Hoffman, who was fired by Don Matthews back in 1992. Now, Gary went on to become the offensive line coach of the BC Lions and won the Grey Cup in '94, and that was a sweet, sweet one for him, but you know he had to enjoy this one tonight.
Absolutely. Congratulations to Gary Hoffman. And boy, is this going to be interesting in the playoffs, because basically it's wide open. There's 4 seasons in football. The first one, from the player's perspective, is your personal conditioning before anything starts. Then you have your training camp. Then you have your preseason. Then you have your regular season. It's now the playoffs. The keys to the playoffs are to start quick in the games, win that first quarter. The other key is make the big plays. The vast majority of these games in the playoffs will come down to 1 or 2 plays, and the players that make those plays are going to be the heroes. I'm still looking for Calgary to come through. They have to win, or their season is not a true victory, even though they finished first. James, it'll be a fun thing to watch.
Yeah, and what a terrific season. The first season for all 3 of us on the CFL and TSN, and what a memorable year with so many records and such.
Yeah, you know, and the great thing is it's not over. You know, there's still a lot of football left to be played. I mean, you've seen some outstanding performances with Mike Pringle and Daryl Mitchell, but what you've seen is 2 very competitive races, too, you know, in both the East and the West. And as our gang alluded to earlier tonight, any of the 6 teams in the playoff have a chance, and we're going to enjoy watching the balance of them, James.
Your greatest memory from the season, Mr. Schultz?
Well, I think overall you have to really assess it's been a successful season for the league. I mean, basically 6 out of the 8 teams financially are going to be just fine. And there was some great play, and there's some great individual situations going on. There's some great starting quarterbacks, some great backup quarterbacks. I like the future of the league, and I like the future associated with the TV market and what can happen in terms of gate revenue and the people that are running the league. I think it's a very positive point in the season.
How'd you guys enjoy this whole TV gig?
It was fun.
It was fun. You know what? It's really been a lot of fun. You guys have both been just great, and you know, we have an appreciation for rookie football players now because we were rookies ourselves, and you know, we looked at a lot of tape. And,
Second time we were rookies, yeah.
And we
should have burned those predictions, that's for sure.
Well, we had a lot of fun. It was great working with you guys.
Thank you.
I hope you'll both be back next year. Not so sure about the guy with the red hair, but anyway, we would like to also echo Rod and Glenn's comments and thank everybody who worked behind the scenes here at TSN. Absolutely. And also thank all you folks for watching. It was a terrific season, and we'll do it again next year. Coming up next on TSN, it is Sports Desk with Darren Detition and Gino Retta. The full hockey story for you, and of course the full football story, what you saw here, and we'll also look ahead to the weekend. Yes, this is the final edition of Adidas Friday Night Football. It was quite a year. Pringle, Montfort, Mitchell, Garcia. The names go on and on. It was a terrific season. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you next year.